Hey everybody. Hey yo, hey Sinistella. All right, so we got our today command. There is an interview in 2 hours, and up until then, we're going to be prepping for the launch next week. And I guess more specifically, I've got a user research session booked tomorrow. So pretty much everything we do today should be to make it so that my friend who plays tomorrow has an easier or better time at playing the game. Hey Stilling. That's a lens I want to look through for today. And I think we need to improve the intro to the game still. I think there are some other little things here. Is there anything else? Yeah, I think this one's pretty important too. Make sure that the start instance window can't go off the screen. I think every time something changes here, we need to do this. Is there a way to do that? Party battle state changed, not that one. Is there any, like, you just clicked something? No, but we'll probably need to do this. Hey, Manic Pine. Are pre-rolls a thing you've enabled recently? I haven't touched any ad settings, so if you're seeing pre-rolls, it might have been something on Twitch's end. Then again, now that I think about it, pre-rolls were a thing like 5 years ago. So possibly it's just you were getting lucky or something not seeing them. Yeah, they're in your region now. Yeah, it could be that. Because I try to not start the stream for like 30 seconds, but I also don't like having really protracted intros. Like some streamers wait for 10 minutes before they jump into their content. I usually try to just start. All right, so start instance has a few different things. We have the party chooser, and that's the real problem here. We need to know when something changed. Here it is, on battle party changed. And we just don't listen to this? On battle, oh no, we do. Set start button state is what we do. Okay, so then let's change it to battle party changed, which needs to call set start button state. Private void battle party changed, which calls set start button state, and then also does window size change, which really clamps the screen. We do this because the UI can sometimes bump itself off the screen. Before we do this, though, let's get a repro of this and see if we can prove that we fixed it. I just don't hear Mr. Streamer. Oh, I said hi, Stilling. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Oh, also, I guess the pre-rolls assume... Yeah. My whole waiting 30 seconds to start is that you would have to show up immediately at the 0-minute mark, I guess. I guess that's why other streamers probably wait 10 minutes. Oh, well. I'll say hi to you twice, Stilling. Hi, Stilling. And hey, Hoggins. All right, so the way we need to test this is get this to go off the screen somehow, which I think is when you've unlocked party members. Yeah, there. Okay. So all we did is we clicked unlock and then clicked a couple buttons. I'm going to do that one more time, and we're going to make sure that that's actually what happened. And then we're going to see if we fix this. So I clicked this, of course. And then I click start battle, and then unlock all, and then click rogue mage. Yeah. Unlock all, click rogue mage. Yeah. Yeah, the new guild area, Dark made a new map entirely. So it's looking different. I think it's better in every way except for these little transition things that we have here. Those should be proper pathways going up to these areas. Hey, Kevin. I'm trying to think, is there something else I had done that I was pretty pleased with? I don't recall. I just don't recall any of this. Let's push and just look at it over here. It's usually pretty easy to do it there. Any interesting changes worth showing off? Oh yeah, this. People had been confused about respecking, so I changed skill buttons. So now you can click a plus button or a minus button, or just continue to use the middle skill button and right click and left click. It's just the game now no longer tells you about right clicking this because it's pretty obvious that you can click the minus button. So that's done. Yeah, I guess everything else is kind of minor. Man, this is all we did on... Yeah, this is all we did on Wednesday. And that wasn't like a short amount of streaming, right? Yeah, geez. 6 hours and 20 minutes. Well, We're gonna probably have another one of those days today where it just doesn't seem like we made a lot of progress. It's the slow part. Yeah, it is slow. And I'm not really dejected about it. There's another week that we have to be able to work on stuff. I kind of hit a burnout moment yesterday a little bit, but I think that was for a lot of reasons. I don't think it was just Skeleseller stuff. Okay, anyway, we need to hire the adventurer. Click start, click unlock, click mage and rogue. It's still happening. The battle party had changed. Okay, so then I think we need to try one more thing. We need to try the next frame version of this. Oh, let's position a mouse though. Oh my god. All right. We don't want to do position a mouse, but we want to do something like this. This is very silly. This is going to be clamp to screen on next frame. Actually, why does this even happen? I guess because the state of the UI doesn't change this current frame. Window size change. All right, so now we call this. Maybe this won't even work. Yeah, I'm gonna try it. If it doesn't, then it means we're waiting an extra frame to even show an error message. I'd be kind of surprised about that. Oh, it could mean that we're emitting the signal too early. Okay, that's something I hadn't thought about. We'll need to look at that because that might cause this to work. Let's see, unlock all, click, click. Okay, good. So it's fixed. So this definitely worked. And I think the real problem is that we're calling this battle party changed on adventurer battle state changed. And swap section, remove and add. No, weird. Okay, yeah, I'm not doing anything unusual here. I'm calling this at the end. So it's after we've done these sorts of things. What causes those error messages to show up then? Where do those even come from? Here. Set start button state is what does it. That sets the error label. And then I guess the size just doesn't get recomputed till the next frame. Yeah, okay. We have to wait until the next frame so that the size is computed correctly. Yeah, at least this fixes it. Because, I mean, it is pretty sucky when the UI gets stuck and you can't click it. You just literally can't click it because the button is off screen. And this could happen in a couple ways, although I think I got rid of one of them at least. All right, let's try the exact same repro. I didn't even change anything, so I don't think anything should be wrong here, but let's try it out anyway. Yeah, good, that's working. And then the other thing that we did is I made it so that the end battle screen is much simpler. And now you have to click this to spawn the dialogue. And since you have to click this, and this is slightly higher than the button would have been, that means the lowest that you can spawn the dialogue is here, which I guess is still pretty low. But yeah, there's no way to get this off screen now. Yeah, good. Okay. All right, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That was an easy change. I'm glad. Nice. Yeah. Looks good. Looks good. There's only one issue, which is that this should not be called window size changed. This should be called clamp to screen, and window size change should call it. Yeah. Whoops. What'd I do? Private void clamp to screen. We just move this. And we call clamp to screen. And then in next frame version, we call that one. It's the exact same function. It's just, it's a little bit clearer what it's doing now. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna try this one more time, even though I should have changed absolutely nothing right there. That should have been functionally identical to what we just had. But I'd be remiss if I ended up with an error after something I just spent effort fixing. Yeah, it's working fine. Now that doesn't work fine, but that actually is kind of a problem, I guess. Although you fix it by just clicking one of these things. But yeah, I guess whenever you unlock a new instance, that should also happen, huh? All right, well, great. We found out something else. Debug unlock all instances. Wait, that makes me wonder. Let me try something here. Because I don't think I've ever tested this. Let's say you have an adventurer and you click start battle, and then you click start battle again. What happens when they win? This should show the dungeon, but I'm not actually sure that it does that. I'm waiting for the battle to be done. I should have increased the game speed at a time, but I didn't. Oh, it does. Okay. So it can add to this. Where does that happen? That's an instance list. And what does that listen to? I don't know. Mark instance defeated. Where's this get called from? Right here. Ended battle. Okay, yeah. When you mark that an instance was defeated, you potentially have to clamp this back to the screen. So how about this? Let's just make a new signal. Yeah. We'll make a new event that says like unlocked instance. Unlocked new instance. No, just unlocked instance. Unlock instance, yeah. I kind of like just having it be in past tense. I don't know if the on is important, but I did this already, so fine. All right, so where do we do this? Set of instance grid, populate instance list. Is there a way for us to know that you've gotten a new one in here? Instance IDs by row. Okay, so num instances. Actually, this is all init is doing, right? Set up instance grid. We do this in here. Mark instance defeated. It contains this. Otherwise, add it and call setup instance grid. We don't know for sure that it changed in there yet, though. So num instances before population, or like old num instances, is that much. And then if it's different, what? Come on, type out the if statement. There we go. Then we invoke this. All right, then we listen to that over here. Instance list dot on unlock instance plus equal clamp on next frame. Yeah. Oh, we can't ignore that. Yeah. There. When a new instance is added, it may push the window off screen. Okay, now we're going to delete that line and we're going to go make sure that we have the bug and that we fixed the bug with this. Hey, Phil. Good morning. Let's try it out. Hire, click that, and then grant most things. Okay, so it's off screen. That's all we have to do is grant most things. And now we fix it and we try again. This is not something the player can do because this is a debug function, but you can add a single instance at a time, which may not have even been a problem. But hey, might as well fix it for us too. Nice. Cool. It's all fixed. All fixed. Now watch me totally like destroy this UI at some point and none of this even matters. Make sure start instance UI stays on screen. Changing your party state or unlocking instances were both actions that could push it off screen. And once it was off screen, it could become impossible to use. So that's done. All right, the real work. Actually, we're going to do this too. Then that's it. Then I need to do really important stuff. But this is something that's been bugging me for a while. So we're going to change that. Hey, Ski. Consider in debug builds not locking the camera or just having a Boolean to skip the starting stuff. Maybe it could even be a button press. It only works on debug builds. Yeah, so every time I start the game right now, I have to do one of a couple different things. I'm waiting for it to start. but the camera is locked at the beginning, so I can't drag, I can't use the arrow keys, I cannot move from here at all unless I either build the guild, which means clicking a couple of times and then hiring, or clicking grant most things. I think on debug builds, it should just be prevented, or sorry, you should always be able to move. That could have been solved with anchoring and proper configs for the container, but the code solution works too. That's probably true, actually. Should probably write that down. I did watch that anchor video that you sent, by the way. Let's see. Start instance could probably be made to never go off screen just by using anchors properly. The thing is, I wanted to position it where the mouse is. I'm going to delete this, actually. I think it's just easier the way that it's set up. Only because I know what's going to happen. I'll eventually get to that to-do item, and even if it is a good idea, it's still going to take like half an hour to go look through. So I'm just preemptively deleting it. So on debug build, we don't lock the camera. Yeah. Town lock at. So there's a way to check if we're on a debug build. I think it's just this, has feature debug. Town, and put this here. Yeah. So if we're on a debug build, then we don't want this to happen. Yeah, there. Now again, worst case scenario, let's say I'd reverse that Boolean. All that would have happened is we would have made it so that it doesn't lock the camera for anybody, which is not that big a deal. But I think it does help new players. Like, you're looking at the guild. What else can you possibly do on the screen? There's text saying one thing. You probably are to click this. You're probably going to click build. There probably shouldn't be a maybe later button. We should probably make the buttons actually stand out a little bit more. But yeah, looking pretty good. Start a battle. Okay, so we're getting into what I think is going to be the meat of today, and I am, for whatever reason, slightly like nervous about this or something, that it's going to be really, really hard to do and not get done in a day. Let's just write this down really fast. Stop locking the camera on debug build. While developing the game, typically I'll want to look somewhere other than at the guild sign at the beginning of the game. And prior to this commit, I would have had to build the guild or click grant most things to unlock the camera. Now it's unlocked by default. Yeah. Hey, APX. All right. So here, like I said, let's anchor ourselves right now to the top left of our to-do list. And I want to show what I think the problems are with this. Yeah, so this is done. Yeah. And who knows if you'll ever read those commit messages. And by you, I mean whoever's working on the game. I think it's better to have them to explain the rationale behind something, and it doesn't take too long to type. Ever had any copyright issues with code you've written, as in someone infringing on your rights? I don't think I have detected that someone has done that. Yeah. It's possible that someone copy pasted entire functions I wrote somewhere, but I would have no insight into that. Also, actually, most of the code that I wrote is for Botland on stream. Like, if you think about it, there were whatever, like 5,000 hours of that, and maybe, well, like 1,000 hours of other content. I'm not actually sure. But the 5,000 hours of that, and now Botland is going to be open sourced. So technically, you can still violate the license of the code, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of doubt people did anything. Is Botland still up? It will be soon enough. And by soon enough, I mean probably like early next year. It's in the process of being open sourced by Altman. And Altman's been streaming, I think, about once a week working on this. So I think the process is interesting, and also just the fact it's going to be online again soon. Well, soon. Soon relative to when it was discontinued. excuse me. I think it's pretty exciting. All right, yeah. So coming back to this. So here's what happens. Beginning of the game, like I said, this is all great. You can't move the camera on a regular build. You click build guild. There's only this option. You're like, cool, I'm understanding that I can build up my town. We should probably show smoke or something. That's a little polish effect. And then the next thing is you see this and you're like, oh, I should probably click this character now. And you click this character and it says, looks like you need to hire an adventurer. So we can have a little bit more dialogue here if we want. You pick hire. You're given enough information to be able to make this choice. It tells you what the difference is at a high level. It's not going to show you their stats or anything. That's okay. So you click hire, and now we're already off the rails. You're like, it says hire the rogue, but you're like, where did I hire the rogue? And the only way you would even be able to see this is by moving the camera way over here, where the rogue is wandering around. And then by doing so, you would not be able to see what the guildmaster is telling you. Now that you have an adventurer, send them into battle. Use the button at the top right of the screen. So what I think we should do instead, yeah, why is there even a maybe later option? It's so that I didn't need to code something custom for science. So not a game reason, just a laziness reason. But yeah, I think that's probably a very minor thing we should address too. The build guild dialogue should not have a maybe later option. Or maybe it should be grayed out. The way I look at it is that it's probably adding a tiny bit of confusion to make you think like, is there something else I could do right now? And for that reason, it's worth getting rid of. But I think knowing that it's an alpha makes the tiny confusion probably go away. So yeah, for launch, I think it's important, but for alpha, you'd be like, oh, he just overlooked this for now. That's my assumption at least. But yes, we should definitely do something about that. And if we have time, we'll do that. So yeah, you build a guild, and now when you hire your first adventurer, I think what we should do is we should spawn them like here. Where do adventurers come out of? They come out of the portal. So they could run over to here. Hey, Worksy. I come from your corn keyboard video. Well, welcome. And I was not super delayed on responding to you. Nice. Yeah, so if we spawn them at the guild, the only thing is, I guess we need to have them come out of the door. We could probably do that eventually. We could just fade them in for right now here. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And you should probably be standing next to the guild master. And we should probably have the Skeleton sign at some point. So you standing next to the guild master. Maybe make your character walk to the guild master. Don't worry about not having an idle animation. When you hire your adventurer, spawn them next to the guild master. They should eventually have to run into the portal to start their fight, which means we should pan the camera to them. Yeah, but then probably the guildmaster dialogue shouldn't happen at the guildmaster. Telling you how to start a battle should probably be done in screen coordinates. It could be in the guildmaster code still, even though it's not really the guildmaster saying it anymore. What's a good example of a game with the kind of dialogue that I'm thinking of? I guess even Undertale is, yeah. So Undertale dialogue. Let's just look at that. Yeah, something like this. Is there just a picture of it? Yeah, this. Okay, so I was picturing, what if you had a dialogue like this and it showed the picture of the guildmaster and underneath it said guildmaster. Lots of games do this, by the way. And that way you'd know, oh, it's a guildmaster talking to me and they're kind of guiding me. Maybe they spawn to the left of the camera off screen and they just walk on screen after being hired. That would make more sense with the text of guildmaster finding an adventurer rather than them sleeping in the guild house you just built. Maybe there's a portal in the guild house. Anyway, yes, I think that would be a little bit better. We would probably need them to really skedaddle though. Because otherwise you'd be like, I hired the adventurer, but like, oh, there they are. Yeah. So we can do that eventually. Maybe they should spawn from outside of the town and walk to the guildmaster. And then stand there menacingly. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. We have them start off screen, we walk them over to here, and they plot themselves there. And, well, but this dialogue shows up on top of them then. Now that you have an adventurer, send them into battle. Keep it locked until they walk on screen. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, pooping them into existence with some particles I think could also work. It wouldn't imply that they were in the house. Alternatively, like even a portal could open up next to where you are here and they could pop out of the portal. But I think the important thing is that you see the adventurer that you just hired. And then after that, we need to instruct you on how to enter a battle. Then it becomes a little bit tougher because first of all, the adventurer should probably walk over to this portal, which we need to make them like sprint over there. Or we need a portal over by the guild master. Or we need to lay out the town differently. Like maybe the guild is here and the portal's up there. Actually would make a lot of sense. If we put the guild here and just had them walk, like the adventurer could come out of here and then walk down to the guild. But I wanted you to see customers. Customers should come in from over here, but we could always pan the camera there. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we relocate it to here. Okay, I'll just write that down. Consider relocating the guild so that the portal is in view. That way we can keep the camera locked on all of that stuff. If we do this, test with a small window size and make sure we set the camera zoom correctly so that you can see everything. Okay, so you hire your adventurer, they spawn them in there. This might all be over here at some point, so then when they have to walk to the portal, it's really not that bad. Then you do your first battle. So blah, blah, blah. They win their fight. And then the issue is they spawn out of the portal with either 1 or 2 potions, I think. And then the adventurer just immediately picks it up. So I think what we would need to do is make them not pick up items at first. But I don't know why exactly. But we need to show you that, like, hey, you got an item. Maybe pause the game, zoom in on this. And show you and have it glow or something. And then we'd pan over to here and be like, you can't sell it until you have an alchemist. So then you build this. And now you could watch your character go put it there. And then we could pan over to where customers are and be like, look, people are flocking to buy your item. Something like that. And then that's it. You understand the basic loop of like, hey, you won a battle. You got an item. You sold it. And you didn't have to control any of this stuff. And at that point, I feel like we could just say, cool, keep winning more battles and, explore. And I'm not sure how you'd exactly figure things out, but maybe the alchemist is waiting at the portal. Yeah, although you wouldn't have a shop front. Also, I guess it would mean that the alchemist is going to move the item for you. But I just don't know how we're going to tackle that exactly yet. Done screen coordinates. When you win the battle, spawn a potion that'll never disappear. That's pretty important too. Pan the camera to it. Then maybe say that you or your adventurers will bring it to one of your shops to sell it. Only you don't have a shop. Pan the camera to the alchemist plot and instruct them to build it. Lock the camera there maybe. Yeah. Sell at the shop that everyone drew. I think the guild master can still tell you that. Like, hey, you just got an item. Okay, I just thought of something really stupid. Imagine if it was a dialogue. Hey, you just got a potion. You have 2 choices. You choose sell it or you choose drink it. If you drink it, then you die again and start Skeleseller 2. If you sell it, then you start Skeleseller 1. This is how I'll handle the sequel to the game. Yeah, anyway, we can't obviously give you a choice, but yeah, I think the guildmaster saying you just got a potion. You mentioned to me that you wanted to sell it. So to sell it, build an alchemist, something like that. All right, so how about we start with the beginning of this? Show you standing next to the guildmaster. Maybe make your character walk to the guildmaster. Don't worry about not having idle animations yet. Yeah. Hey, Roots. Oh, it's not going to be a live service. There's no reason to make it a live service. Yeah. It's all about finding the best equipment. I was thinking about it more and more yesterday, and I think the general gameplay loop of win battles, earn items, sell them, spend money, I think this is good. I don't think it's great yet. And I was thinking about it, and we talked a lot about like crafting or cooking or whatever, making equipment sets. I was thinking this could be more of a little bit of a management aspect to the game eventually. Oh, that was what I thought. Just as I was falling asleep, I thought of a conclusion. I got to write that down. Hang on a second. It was that we shouldn't do that to begin with. Where's the idea I wrote down? Yeah, this. We probably should make the game without this. And then add it if it feels like it's needed in checkpoint 4. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Darkstorm. Anyway, my thought was that there'd be some sort of like production flow. So yeah, you're getting potions and you're getting swords and stuff. What if you bundled them into little gear kits and then people bought the gear kits instead? But it's still the same basic thing. Okay, so what we need to do if we're going to do any of this stuff is give you new states. I actually don't really care about where your worker is. Your worker can just be wandering around town at first. All this, should they be? Don't worry about not having idle animations yet. Just use a single frame and we can get the animations later. So you would be standing there at the beginning of the game. Do we have a load game? Yeah, we do. So you'd be here. There's your sign. It would say Skeleton. And build the guild would happen. And then I guess you'd walk over here maybe? Yeah, hey Goose. Yeah, you should probably slow walk over there. Okay, so yeah, we need a new state for your character. Make a new state for your character where they're just standing around at the beginning. We did some stuff like this for the Guildmaster. Guildmaster. What are these all called? Also, what is this doing here? Protected function should be down here. Okay. Fix linting issue. All right, beginning state. Yeah, I think there should be a beginning state for the worker, your character as well. And they're just standing there. And how do they advance out of this state? Let's think of what their state machine is. So beginning state, they're standing there waiting for you to build the guild. And then when you build the guild, maybe they walk over to the guild master. Why would they even do that? Maybe when you click build, they walk to the sign and that's what builds it. Hey, Super Cubert. Hey, Visitronic. It's going well. I'm pretty excited about today. We have an interview in an hour and a half, and we're going to keep working on the intro to Skeleseller. I have a user research session tomorrow with a friend. It's almost exactly 24 hours from now. So the main thing I want to focus on today is how do I make the game either easier or better for my friend to get into so that we're getting to more sort of meaningful feedback. And that's what we're starting here. So a lot of this beginning of game stuff is like, okay, you build a guild, you hire your first adventurer. I think this is all pretty straightforward. You know, these are the only things you can click at first, so you're going to click them. And then you get your adventure and it's like, well, they just spawned way over here. So we're going to address that too. I'm just trying to figure out where should your character go and what should they do at the beginning. Maybe you actually see them walk over here and put the sign down for Skeleton. I think that would be kind of cool. And then the sign for build guild could already exist. I don't know. I don't think we should focus on your character exactly. Yeah, I think let's just focus on the adventurer. So you hire them, spawn them next to the guild master. They should eventually have to run into the portal to start the fight, which means we should have the camera pan to them. So make a new state for adventurers that only gets used for your first one, which is that they walk to the guild master. Yeah. They leave this state to enter battle. And that's it. Yeah. Hey, John. So those two next random adventures, see in the hire window, put them next to the guildmaster. No, not quite. I want to like the way I'm kind of picturing this, which I know this makes no sense, but the guildmaster is sort of like phoning for the adventurer to come over. I know there are no phones in the game, so there's like telepathy or something. But otherwise, it wouldn't make sense why the mage is just there. Or sorry, not the mage. Let's say I hire the rogue. It wouldn't make sense why the mage is just there and you don't have access to them. Were they all in the house to begin with? Those sorts of things. Yeah, they call you on the skelephone. Can the skeleton talk to the player? So dialogue box from the skeleton after walking in. I need to build a guild rather than the floating text. You mean the guild sign thing? That could potentially work, but it wouldn't make sense how you got an NPC there. But maybe it already doesn't make sense. So yeah, maybe we do that. So let's see what that would look like. You would just have your skeleton here, and it would say something like, yeah, I like that idea. I think I like that idea, Ski. It'd say something like, hey, I've got a plot of land, but I have no actual town. And who's going to do the work for me? Yeah, I really like that. I think it's good. Okay, so we're going to actually do get rid of the guild sign and just have your skeleton there. And you interact with that to build your guild. The skeleton can have dialogue about needing to start the town and not being able to fight anymore. Yeah, so you would click your skeleton to interact with them and choose build guild. They would be outlined or highlighted in some way. All right. Thought bubble would make it clear that you were the skeleton as well. Can have a thought bubble. Yeah. Okay, so we do need a beginning state here, which is like build skeleton sign. Well, no, we could just assume that the sign's already there. I think that's okay. You start the game, and instead of this thing being here, there's a sign that says Skeleton, and your skeleton's there, and they're just kind of looking around, and then they're like, some thought bubble shows up. So maybe it's like ponder, build, guild. Yeah. In fact, that is the beginning state. They wait like 2 seconds and then spawn. Actually, I guess it's just beginning state. They're standing around. 2 seconds later, they will enter ponder, build, guild automatically. This is show a thought bubble about building the guild. Clicking them will advance to show build guild dialogue. Same thing here. Show build guild dialogue. This is show a dialogue. Show, I guess, just the same dialogue that the guild sign currently shows. Mention creating a new portal for customers who walk from the west side. Maybe it could also be used for the first worker, you, and new adventurers. Here's what I think is going to happen for you, at least. You're gonna be at the title screen, so not this. You're gonna be at the title screen. You're gonna click new game, and it's gonna go right to the intro cutscene. You die in the intro cutscene, and then it's gonna fade into this where you're now looking at like your worker is here already, so you didn't need to see them walk to get here. It's assumed that you walked to get here, I guess. The other thing though is new adventurers. So new adventurers, I think we'll just spawn them off screen and just have them walk over. And yeah, I think that can work. But I was thinking of moving the guild as well over to like here. That way the portal is much closer to it. And then I guess the adventurer could just spawn from the portal. Kind of makes you wonder, why can't enemies come through the portal and just ruin your town? But we don't need to answer that question. It's a friendly only portal. Okay, so show the same dialogue that the guild currently shows. So then where do we end up after that? Because you kill them all in battle, yeah. Then why are there still enemies? So this would be coming from your skeleton. You click build, and now you have the guild master there, and now the guild master has an exclamation mark. So I guess your skeleton doesn't really matter too much anymore. So now they've built the guild, and they're in a what kind of state would they be in? They'd be in like just waiting for you to finish a battle. Maybe they just go wander around their town after that. I don't think that would really make sense just yet. Yeah, I feel like we should just make them wait. Wait for first battle to end. Just have them idling there, waiting for your first battle. When it happens, switch to worker wander for now. Talk to guildmaster. They could be, but there's the exclamation mark already, and the camera's going to be locked here, and there will literally only be two things you could click at that point. Your worker, which will do nothing. I guess clicking your worker could say, maybe you should talk to the guildmaster. And then the guildmaster. I also think that by putting an outline around the interactable characters, that it'll make it much more obvious. So that would be nice to be able to do today. Yeah, it would be nice to show outlines around characters that you should be clicking at the beginning of the game. They're bio-coded against their species, yeah. Guess I'm just asking if the guildmaster is talking to the player or the skeleton. Oh, yeah. I guess it's sort of both. Yeah, I guess it's sort of both. So it would make sense for them to be talking to the skeleton, which means that the skeleton should be close by. Maybe they move slightly closer to the guildmaster, since the guildmaster would be talking to them. All right, so let's go code some of this. Because yeah, right now we have no code here. We're going to go make a new set of states. This is all inside of guildmaster states. We're going to make a new set of states inside of... it's technically not an NPC, is it? Shouldn't have named this NPCs. That is your player character, but you're just not controlling it. All right, we'll call it skeleton. I don't have a better name. All right, save that. So now this switches to skeleton. The skeleton is talking with the guildmaster, and the skeleton can be like, who are you, etc., etc. Yeah, that's true. Although I don't know what they would have to say. Maybe like, welcome to Skeletown. And then the guildmaster could say thanks. Well, this is more like flavor at that point. So I think we could file that for later. Flavor could add a bit of a dialogue between the skeleton and the guildmaster. E.g., welcome to Skeletown. Thanks. Hiring stuff. Yeah, all these people work for you. Yeah. This could help establish that you're the skeleton and that the game is automated. Okay, so standing around, you're going to be in the state for 2 seconds. This is going to inherit from the skeleton state, which we don't even have. Guildmaster state. This is stuff that uses a guildmaster so that we can access all of these things. I guess we're going to need this either to be using a bunch of components and just taking a node, in which case they could just be states. Yeah, they could be state machines with clicks. I guess they're already parameterized. Why is this there? Oh, for started battle. Oh, man. I guess your skeleton is going to need to know that. Yeah. Hey, Batman. Thank you. It is a corn keyboard. Let me think about this. The guildmaster listens to started battle. Yeah, in the town. The worker doesn't even have it in it. Oh, because we just add in a town component. Create worker is technically that in it. So we need some way of listening. And I don't want to make worker like a super crazy class over here. I guess a system could be doing this. And what would we have? We'd have listeners set up. It'd just be for your first worker though. Sorry, I'm just thinking about some of the code for this that we're going to be doing so I can figure out where all this is going to go. We need a way of knowing, we need a way of connecting the same thing we did in the Guildmaster, which is when the town starts a battle, what we're going to listen to over here. And in this case, we're just going to call into the state machine. The state machine exists right here. So I guess technically this should take in a worker. But everything is set to use node 2D states. Oh, man. What's my words per minute? Check out the words per minute command. The true answer is I've never really shared it. But I guess actually the closest non-joke command would be the Colmac command, which has a spreadsheet there. But there's also a video on why the spreadsheet is sort of inaccurate. So I don't have a short answer for you, is the short answer. Paradoxically. Let me think about this. So yeah, we would need a new state in here, a new beginning state. But this needs to be a different kind of state machine. And worker wander and stuff takes in a node 2D. So these are all based on entities. We definitely need a new kind of state machine. And having it be a guildmaster state machine won't work. We still need a started battle thing. All right, I think we're going to add the code here. And I think we're going to need to change this. And I don't want there to be like a million different state machines, but let's start with that and then worry about refactoring it later. This is skeleton state machine, which is going to take in, I guess, skeleton states, which is this, and a node 2D entity, which comes from Godot. Then all of this stuff changes to skeleton. And this needs to take in a node 2D. All right, now, where's the problem here? Oh, skeleton's on a thing. What am I talking about? All right, there we go. So now the skeleton can have the skeleton state machine. Here it is. We're going to need to save this somewhere. How did we do this in the Guildmaster? We presumably just saved a Guildmaster state machine. Yeah. So we're going to do the same basic thing over here. Skeleton state machine. I got to write a note for myself. Clean up. Make sure cloned workers start in the worker wander state and don't do any of the beginning of game stuff. All right, so we make the state machine here. State machine does not exist in the current context. Oh yeah, sure. Cannot implicitly convert type worker wander to a skeleton state. Yeah. What a shame. Oh, what is a skeleton state? Actually, wait a second. We could have just made this be... No, we couldn't have. I seem like such a cool guy. Thanks, Batman. I think you're the real cool guy here, though. Fighting crime, saving Gotham City. All right, this is going to be a problem. These states are of different types. Base wander, which is just a state, which doesn't have a started battle function on it. I guess we could make worker wander have started battle and it just doesn't do anything. But then we need to do this for everything that we do, like pick up item. Yeah, we'd make like thin wrappers around these classes. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like it. It would work. It would allow us to move forward with this, but then it doesn't allow us to share states easily. Or it does, but there's just an extra little bit of boilerplate that we need. Let me take a look at this again. These need to be skeleton states, which are states with click handlers. But not everything needs a click handler. Actually, I guess the way this kind of works is our state machine should just change entirely at some point. Like we have a beginning of game state machine, and then we have a after the beginning of game state machine. Just to make progress. Yeah, although I do want to think about this because possibly an extra 10 minutes will make me come up with a solution that doesn't involve a lot more work and will also still be fine. That idea of having, okay, so here's the problem. We have states like, what's it called? Worker wander and pick up item, which are not exclusive to workers. But we want workers to have a special kind of state machine that allows for clicks and starting battles. One option is just make it so that all states have these sorts of handlers. And most just don't do anything. This is pretty appealing, actually. That might not actually even be that bad. Yeah, nothing has to call them. Option number 2 would be wrap states like worker wander and pick up item in a skeleton state and have them ignore the handlers for battles and clicking. Option number 3, I think that's kind of it. Call it future proofing. Well, if you look at the very base states that we have, which I don't know what they're called, state, I guess. Yeah, they have state process and state physics process, and not everything uses this. At least I don't think everything uses this. This one uses state process. Pickup item presumably also uses it. Yeah. And what's the other one? Drop off item. Okay, so those use it, but presumably not every state uses them. What other states do we have? Buy item. Okay, lots and lots of these states use those. But I guess not the Guildmaster ones then, right? Like beginning state. Yeah, this doesn't use it. They aren't working because of the ability test? I don't even recall what the ability tests are. I need to refresh my memory on that. Okay, we're still doing fine on time. Just move this so I can see what time it is there. All right, I think I'm leaning toward option 1. I think this is a very quick way of doing everything, and it would allow me to delete the Guildmaster state machine altogether, I'm pretty sure. Because what is this doing at that point? This provides started battle. State machine with clicks provided clicked. Yeah. We wouldn't need either of these. Hey, Richie. Yeah, we got about an hour and 10 minutes until the interview. All right, I am going to do this, and all of the difficult generic work that I did is going to get deleted. So sad. Kevin is crying tears right now. Like, why did I help with that gist? Oh boy. All right. So we need some new functions here. Public virtual void clicked. Method intention left empty. And public virtual void started battle. There is actually one other way we could do this, because maybe at some point we want a very basic state machine. And yeah, here's what I think we need to do. I think we need a like game state machine. So state machine is just essentially like a Godot construct. It's got things like the physics process, whatever else. And then yeah, game state machine can have things about battling and clicking and dialogues and whatever else. I kind of like that idea. That way we're not cramming this right into the base class. I think that's good. So that's like option 1B. 1B is make a game state machine that adds these methods. We kind of already did this in the form of state machine with clicks. This should just be named something less stupid. So maybe we call this game state machine. Yeah, I think it's reasonable. Game state machine. Oh, I did that in the wrong order. Oh, well, it doesn't really matter. We'll just do a find replace on this now. Game state machine. Okay, good. Reveal and finder and delete the last one. All right, now where's the state for that? I guess it's right here. So this is going to be called a game state now. Let's copy it first. Actually, let's do the exact same thing. Yeah, game state. All right, so it's going to have clicked and it's going to have started battle. And this is going to cease to exist. Oh, but it can't cease to exist. we have states that rely on the guild master. Actually, that might not be a problem. Ability validator instantiates abilities. Basic attack crashes the test because of the gd.rand range. Oh, right. And the cooldown. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so this has clicked. It's also going to need started battle. This broke. What if it breaks when you save a file as another file? All right, started battle. Let's put this inside of this thing. Good and good. Okay. Now what? Now the guildmaster should just be fine, although this shouldn't need to exist anymore, because it is just a game state machine that happens to take in a guildmaster. So I think we're going to try this. Game state machine. It's not a guildmaster state anymore. It's just a game state guildmaster. Please tell me this works. Oh, hey, Funky Monkey. Oh, I never checked to see if the new t-shirts are online. I asked Funky Monkey yesterday if he could help me design the new shirt. And by that, I just meant like position the logo. And he did. And I think we're both pretty happy with it. I got to buy a new one of those and then model it. I also think I'm going to buy a hoodie at some point. All right, I need to save this somewhere. Let's just dump this in the chat. Let's put this here for now. Why is this pasting so weirdly? Oh, maybe that's how I typed it. Maybe my brain is the weird thing. All right, let's X out of this. What is Untitled 1? How do you even find Untitled 1? There it is. No, I don't care about this. Cool. So quit that. Go over to here. Start this thing up again. Push failed. That's strange, especially because it... What? Unexpected disconnect while reading sideband packet. I've never seen that happen before. Did it push? Fatal. Remote end hung up unexpected. What is going on? I've never seen this stuff. Does that mean I actually did work on more on Wednesday? And that... No. Get pull is up to date. What? I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I've never seen that happen. All right, let's search for this. I think it pushed. I don't know why it's saying that it didn't. Check your network connection stability. And I haven't dropped any frames, so I doubt that it does that. I'm not doing this stuff. I'll just get fetched. It looked like pull worked though, and pull should do a fetch. Huh. Alright, get switch auth. Or auth switch. Hey, Toulouse. Push hard reset if only. Oh well, oh well. We'll figure that out later. I'm not super concerned right now because it does look like it made it to GitHub. So worst case scenario, I would lose this code. And as I've mentioned before on stream, it always sucks whenever you lose anything. But as long as you've got video proof that you streamed that stuff, you can always recreate it pretty easily. It's on the right account. Whenever push fails, it switches accounts automatically in case I'm pushing to the wrong repo. So it's not failing because of auth. It's failing because of some other thing. And like I said, it seems like it had worked anyway. Okay, so now if I try running this, it's still going to fail, I'm pretty sure. Yes, but now I can fix this stuff. All right, game state machine cannot be found. That is very easy to fix. That comes from there. Game state should also come from there. Type or namespace, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's see if that's working. Type or namespace skeleton state machine. Yeah, whoops. We don't want that there. Ugh. What was that before? It was nothing. Okay, we'll just comment that out for now. Yeah, let's just copy paste this back in. This is going to be another one of those super messy commits that just sprawls on for a very long time. But we'll get there. Pretty confident in this. So this is in skeleton state. We don't have these functions here. We don't technically need to override anything. Let's just comment those out for now. And now I think it'll run. And it should do everything it did before. But now we got rid of an extra state machine, I guess. Let's see. Does this work? I can click you. Yeah. And you should tell me about how to start a battle in 5 seconds. Okay. Yeah. This is working. All right. Well, then this is a pretty good option. All right. So now what do we have to do? Now I guess we go get rid of Guildmaster state machine. Yeah, none of these should be used. So delete that. And what does this allow us to do? It allows us to code regular states now. So beginning state is going to be a state node 2D. This is actually still going to cause some problems. Oh, man. The problem it's going to cause is that we can't just store stuff here. But I guess it's not that hard. We can store it all into a component, which is like skeleton state machine component. And then that'll be everything that we do. Yeah. All right, so what is this thing? It's a node 2D, comma, state node 2D. State machine, good. Then we use that and that. And delete this. Everything should still work. And now we're going to add in a new beginning state. It's probably a mistake to name two things beginning state, because I cannot tell which one is which right now. So let's just do that and see, what did it pull in? It pulled in the skeleton one, good. And then we're going to start in the beginning state, although even this needs to change at some point. Why is there no definition found for this? It's right there. Beginning state is an ambiguous reference. Oh my God. Fine. Fully qualified. Yeah. 2D or no 2D. All right, what are we doing wrong now? Namespace guildmaster state doesn't exist. Oh yeah, right. What is it instead? State guildmaster. Oh god. Oh god. This is not state. This is game state. What am I talking about? Which means even the guildmaster state should have been that. Where did I just type the wrong thing here? Did the wander states need to change? I guess not. Wait, what? How does this work then? Oh, how does this work? I think it's just fine. I'm not saying there are no errors. That's not what that was supposed to mean. This is taking the guildmaster. Yeah, so all the guildmaster states need to change. So let's just search for this. Actually, search for even the namespace so that we find only functions that are like this. And that's good. That's now good. That's good. 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 Yeah, wow, there were a lot of these. Oh, and we need to import this stuff too. It hasn't complained about all of them though. It says generate class. Man. Scene scripts. What's wrong? All right, well, we're down to 2 errors. It should be offering to find where this class is, and it's not. But it's not a problem over here, and I don't understand why it is a problem over here. They're in the exact same places. Oh, this is... Oh my god. I'm just not reading. My bad. I thought I had fixed these, and I didn't. And there we go. All right, now that has the issue. Yeah. This is going to be so great when this is done. Like, so great. I think that any intro to a game is probably where the fate of the player hangs in the balance the most. Because you haven't built up any trust or confidence in the game. So if a game looks like it sucks and it's 5 minutes in, you might think, well, this is going to be bad forever. And I at least have no patience when it comes to games. Oh, interesting. The text is going behind the trees. Okay, that's a problem. It's kind of a cool looking problem though, right? Like, look at that. It's pretty neat. But it is a bug. But it's a very, very minor bug. Bug text can be beneath the trees. Yeah. Now what are you going to tell me about how to go to battle? Yes, you are. Good job, Guildmaster. Hats on the head for everybody. So I think we fully deleted this now, right? Do we have, what's it called? State with click? No, that's gone. So it's just game state. And now we can start coding the skeleton one. Okay. Okay. Wait, actually, that means that the skeleton is there in the world and doing literally nothing, right? Which means they're probably on top of the portal. Is that correct? Yes, they are. Look at that. Unfortunately, there is no idle animation. I am probably not going to do anything about that in the next day. But in the next week, we could probably do something about that. It does look kind of funny with them just walking in place. I actually kind of like it. We could just say that's their idle animation. Just getting your calories. Burning them for the day. Gotta close those Apple Watch bands. All right, so workers get a beginning state. All workers are getting the state though, and they need to store some information in there. I've seen games that accepted walking in place. Yeah, yeah, I've seen that too. I think the old Ultima games did that. Although I don't know how we would prove this quickly. I think Ultima 3 did it. I can't tell. We need to set this to return. Oh, is it only Google that does that? Google has a GIF option, right? Type GIF. Are these? Oh, they're not going to autoplay unless I hover over them. None of them are playing. What's going on? No, they had stand animations, I guess. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what they did. Shuffling in place, yeah. All right, what's the next step then? The next step is putting them in the right spot. So the very first worker that you get, where do we even add your, oh, there it is, create worker. Create worker returns a worker. Okay, so worker equals create worker, worker dot position equals, who knows? Who knows? This puts them at the portal. So we need to put them at the guild somehow. I don't think we can do this without just telling you what the coordinates are. Well, there are other ways we could do it. I guess we could put a, what is going on here? We could put a region like there. It's not a wander region. It'd just be other key points. We could also just position them at an absolute set of coordinates here. Like, what happens if I put them at negative 750, 125? Negative 750, 125. Yeah. It'll break. Why will it break? Because of the lack of pathing? Because that's something we can address. I just wonder, can we even position them? Yeah, we can. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, as long as I put them inside the nav boundary, I think we should be okay. So I guess technically we should have put them like here, which is negative 765, 170. This is a good enough way of doing this for now, at least. Oh, wait, are you saying they won't get in because there's no way to connect all the way over to the right side? Because there should be a path. Yeah, there's a path. Okay. I don't think there should be a problem then. All right, so there, your stupid little skeleton starts there. So they are in what state? Beginning state. They stand around for 2 seconds, and then they enter ponder, build, guild state. Okay, so let's go to beginning state and save this as... Actually, how do we make it be 5 seconds? I guess we had a timer inside one of the states. Heck if I remember what this is called, though. Tell player about battling, waiting for first battle. Here it is. Now let's copy paste all this stuff. So this is in the skeleton's beginning state. We're going to copy all of this stuff in there. Whoop. There we go. And you are not clickable in this state. False. Actually, this isn't even where this goes. So I guess delete it. You don't have a clicked thing. It's just start timer. When you're done, you transition to the next state, which is the ponder, build, guild state. State. There we go. We should probably delete the skeleton state machine at this point, huh? Yeah. All right, you are called ponder, build, guild. And that shouldn't be there. And this is going to just say print. This should be a dialogue telling you how to build a guild or whatever, telling you that you want to build a guild. I don't know. I don't really care right now. And then we're just going to see if this works. So you're going to transition into that state. And it's going to last for 2 seconds. What is this? Yeah, this is a problem is what this is. There we go. Hey, what did you just say to me? Thanks for the resub. Welcome back. Welcome back. You're almost at a year. Okay, now we just go plug this into the worker. Worm.png, that's not worker. All right, new one of those. Let's try it out. So all that's going to happen is it's going to wait 2 seconds after starting the game and then print out something, whatever I typed. So we count to 2. And there it is. Yeah, perfect. In fact, maybe just wait a tiny bit longer. But we'll see what that looks like eventually. I think 2 seconds for now is fine because there's no fade in or anything. All right, next up. Show a thought bubble about building the guild. Okay, we have this concept of text dialogue. I know it should be a thought bubble eventually, but what is in a text dialogue? Wait, this doesn't make any sense. Clicking them will advance to show build guild dialogue. Hard to judge the timing. Yeah, and even coming from a title screen, you'd actually be coming from the intro cutscene. So probably we'd have faded in. Probably you'll have wanted to be another 2 seconds or something. But yeah, I think for the alpha, it'll be fine if it just shows up pretty much immediately. We could just make a thought bubble thing, and it shows that for, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds, and then highlights the character. Yeah, the intro cutscene showing how you died. That is going to take a long time to do. Because we got to compose music, especially for that, I think. It's going to be like cinema scoring. Yeah, I think we need to make a special dialogue. I don't think it can be text. Because you shouldn't have to do anything. And then clicking your character advances you to build a guild. Does that make sense? So you would pop something up here saying, hey, I should really build a guild if I'm going to get this town going. And then you click your character and it would say build. And I guess it doesn't cost you money because you're the one building it. Yeah, but then this implies that you know how to build stuff and you're building everything. I guess so. Yeah, gotta buy the materials. But who are you buying them from? I guess those are questions we just don't answer yet. Alternatively, what we could do is your character could say something like, hey, I really need a guild to hire adventurers, and then a sign appears. And it's assumed that this is how you'll interact with this stuff in the future. That could work. Is that a problem at all, I wonder? So here's the suggested flow that I'm saying is 1, your character thinks about how they need a guild. 2, a sign appears saying build guild that you interact with, like how you do now. And this shows that you always build via signs. And I think it simplifies the flow a little bit. I think I kind of want to do that. Yeah. Your skeleton could say something like, I've got the land, but I don't have any, but I need adventurers to do battle. Only I had a guild, ... And then fade in guild sign. I could build one over there. Then skeleton arm, Fantastic Fours out and points across the screen. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, how does this sound? Namely, I'm asking Ski the orchestrator, how does this flow look? because I feel like this could still work. Yeah, I think we'll at least start with this. I think it's as good as anything else. Hey, Kahitar. Think that's good. Okay, cool. All right, so we need a thought bubble or something. Or you know what? The thought bubble could be just a differently themed text dialogue, maybe something more bubble shaped. But I think having a button to acknowledge that you've read it is actually an important accessibility thing. A lot of times in games, you have speech bubbles or something that just go by too fast and you can't read them, or they go by too slowly and you're just stuck there. Okay, so then we need to spawn a dialogue, which means we need clickability, and we don't have any of this stuff yet. We change the text dialogue with a character name and icon to the left, like you were showing from Undertale. That works as well. Yeah, I think we should put that in flavor. Add portraits of who is talking. Portraits / names of who's talking in some of the dialogues. Instead of a thought bubble. Oh, yeah. This could be done instead of thought bubbles, since you have to press a button to acknowledge that you're ready for more text. All right, we're getting there. We're gonna get at least this dialogue good to go. So we need clickability in the entity, which we don't have yet, and then we need to spawn a dialogue. So let's start with just spawning the dialogue, I guess. Guildmaster has some way of doing this. Do we have a text dialogue in here? Yes, we do. Spawn text dialogue. This could probably be made static. It's just spawning at a particular node 2D's position, right? But I guess it's added as a child of that node 2D. What knows to delete this? The text dialogue frees itself? Yes, it does. Okay, that's pretty reasonable. Do we have any sort of dialogue stuff somewhere? Dialogue box, build dialogue, hire dialogue. No, we don't. Where would that go? Probably in the UI. Yeah. All right, we'll just put it in next to character selector. Dialogue functions. Public static class dialogue functions. And just delete all this. And we're going to make a public static void add text dialogue to entity. All right, it's got the same definition as this. So it is actually not void. And it's going to take in these things. And we take in the entity. Then it calls all of the same code. This is entity.addChild. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. So now the Guildmaster is going to call that, which we should just change the calling side, but I'm not going to do that yet. Dialog functions dot add text, this label close text. Good. So that in our, what was it called? Ponder build guild state? Yeah. We're going to spawn this here. Text. I don't even know if we need this. This is going to be entity. Label is going to be something, something. And close text is going to be okay. Yeah. I don't know. Let's just see what that looks like. Hey, Malmsey. I'm a little delayed on responding to you. Sorry. Hey, nice. It worked. Okay, so what do we have this thing say? I've got the land. I've got the land for Skeletown, but I need adventurers to do battle for me. If only I had a guild, ... And then I guess when you click OK is when the guild sign should spawn. And maybe it should say, hey, look over there. And that could be timed text because you still can't move the camera. So we need to know when you close this. What do we have now? Guildmaster. enjoying the thought going into this while I order food. Man, I realized I hadn't gotten food from like not a grocery store in a very long time. Last night I ordered some Thai food. It was quite good. Dialogue on close equals on close dialogue. Yeah, this is exactly what we want. So ponder, build, guild, state. So we're going to get the text dialogue in here. Text dialogue, dialogue. Yeah. Then get this here. On closed dialogue. What was it? Tell player about battling. Yeah. And that'll transition into a different state, which would be the spawn spawn guild sign state. It's going to have to fade in. We're making pad thai. I've never made pad thai as well as restaurants have. And I only found out like, I don't know, a year or two after I was even trying to make it, that apparently the heat of the wok really makes a difference. And this is why people really like gas stoves for that. And I was trying to make it on an electric stove at the time. I'm sure I also lacked the skill to do it. It's not like it's just a heat problem. I'm not trying to say that would have solved everything and I would have been a famous restaurateur, but you never know. Might have tasted better. Okay, so this is going to be like the guild sign appears. Yeah, look at that conveniently placed sign. Like Undertale. Okay, so where is the guild sign right now? Should be in the town somewhere, right? Guild sign. It's called guild sign. What a convenient name for a convenient sign. Guild sign. We never even get this? Are you serious? Oh, it's only here in signs. It's private though, so we have no way of getting it. But that's okay. When we initialize it, we just initialize this. We need to initialize it. We need to hide it. That's all. Yeah, guild sign dot hide. And we have show all remaining signs. What does this init do? Yeah, that's fine. All right, so public void show guild sign. Wow, easy. Easy. Now in the town, we want to get the signs thing, I guess. Is this? No, it's not public. We could make it public. Yeah, let's make it public. Signs, get set. Private, public. Now put this somewhere way down here. Where does this go? There it is. Then from inside build guild, where'd that go? Here. We can get the town component on the entity. Town component, town component. This is not how that works. Get component. Oh my God, AI, just do it for me. That's also not how that works, but that's close enough. All right, so now we need to fetch this and this. And town component dot town dot signs dot show guild sign. And we'll eventually transition out of that. This is not that. There, cool. Oh, also this should fade in. Guild sign. Guild sign has a show. We don't want it to show. We want to fade it in. I think that's a good idea. Oh my God, I can't type. Public void fade in. Okay, so it's not show guild sign, it's fade in guild sign. Which I guess is the same as show. I'll also use that excuse with my significant other, thanks. It wasn't bad when I made it. It's just not like what you'd expect from a restaurant. Also, a lot of restaurant cooking for a lot of cuisines end up adding a lot of the flavorful things. So lots of butter, lots of garlic, lots of whatever, spice or something like that. So yeah, maybe that's another difference. I'm guessing they added more oil to pad thai than I probably added. So fade in, what am I searching for? Search for modulate :A. Fade battle nudge. Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, that's good enough. You just got to tweak this a little bit. Don't care about that stuff. We set the modulate to be 0. We show it, and then we tween to 1.0 F over some amount of time. I don't know, 2 seconds. I don't know if this is going to look stupid or cheesy. Let's try it out. Use underscore when there's already an access modifier. I'm not totally sure. Maybe just so that you can tell at a glance that something's private. I've got the land for Skeletown, but I need adventurers to do battle for me. If only I had a guild. You click OK, and what should happen? Oh, a sign appeared out of nowhere. Whoa, we could use this sign to build a guild. All right, well, whatever. It works. Am I using VS Code? Yeah, I am. Hey, Lack. Hey, TJ. How's the stream going? Oh, you said if you knew I was live, did the notification go out? Because one of the ways you can get notified, at least, is be on Discord and sign up for the live stream roles. If you click channels and roles and just click yes to this option here, then it should notify you. Other than that, hopefully Twitch notifies you or something. Yeah, okay. I know this sounded really cheesy, but I actually do think this works. So again, the flow is going to... Oh, that's not good. What are you doing over there? Yeah, it doesn't work when you load the game. And actually, you'd be stuck in a state you couldn't get out of. Well, I guess you just restart the game. Yeah, got the land for Skeletown, but now I need adventurers to battle for me. If only I had a guild. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Click this. Yeah, nice. Why is it rendered below the trees? That's just a bug I gotta fix at some point. That shouldn't be too hard to fix. Okay, so where do we leave off with this then? So they're standing around. 2 seconds later, they spawn a dialogue. They're pondering it. Show a thought bubble about building the guild. We need to transition to a new state now, which is, I guess, wait for first battle to end. I'm going to just make this. BRB, okay. What are we calling this? What is it called? Ponder, build, guild state. Yeah, let's save this as wait for first battle to end. And you are going to be called this. And you are going to do literally nothing. Yeah, and we'll put you into the worker here. Beginning state. Name can be simplified. What? I have 2 beginning states, though. So if I do this, it's going to complain to me, won't it? What? Are we not including the... Oh, we're not including the Guildmaster stuff anymore, probably. All right, well, anyway, we need a new... What was it called? Waiting for battle to end? Yeah, waiting for first battle to end. And then we need to transition into that state from this. Have you marked it with a to-do comment? The bug? Yeah, I have a note about fixing it in here. There's actually a picture here. Yeah. I removed what method? I only just saw your message after doing several things, so I'm sorry. I lost the context. What should it say, by the way, besides okay? I've got the land for Skeletown, but I need adventurers to battle. If only I had a guild. Look around. Stupid thing. But I think it's gonna be fine. Just change the next to 10 and remove the to do. Yeah, I think that's all we need to do. Yeah, so now you click the tiny little hat and then Row I button. Just click that. Oh, look at that. It's right there. Cool. So this is going to be in the waiting for battle state. What am I using for switching between files? Typically just Command P and typing in the name of something. Someone on Stack Overflow suggested people use the underscore to avoid doing this.foo when foo is a member and also a function parameter. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. There are a lot of times when I do something like this. Town equals town. Although I wouldn't really mind having this dot town in that case. But still, I think it's okay. Seeing a string be red or green instead of orange looks weird to me. Oh, even in VS Code, you could use a different theme if you want. Like if I were to change this, which I've never really done since years ago. But yeah, you could change it to anything. There's probably something that you're used to. In fact, Visual Studio Dark, that is, I think, what you're probably used to. So I just don't tend to use that. That's all. Bells, for shame. Got to figure it out. Okay, cool. Yeah, TJ. Yeah, that should hopefully alert you. Okay, so we got through this stuff. Have them idling there, waiting for your first battle. When it happens, switch to worker wander for now. Okay, let's just get that working. Then we're very quickly running out of time and we got to switch in interview mode. Well, very quickly. It's 10:30. I'm probably going to start switching at about 10:50. We'll take a break and then we'll do the prep that we need to do. So we got 18 minutes. It's not long enough to get the whole task done. So let's try switching into worker wander. This is going to involve making the click code. No, making the start battle code, which is still going to be somewhat difficult because we got to make a new system, I think. So waiting for first battle. Wait for first battle end. This one. The way you leave this state is on started battle. Public override started battle. And we're going to transition into worker wander. All right, now there's nothing that's going to ever call this. That's the problem. So for watching me. Yeah. I like this color theme, and I've used it now for, I don't know, like 8 years or something. Why do you need two variables named town? So you have the concept of function parameters. So for example, if you had something like void print text, you would want to take in the text to print. So this is a parameter. And then we were inside of a class there, and they have the concept of member variables. So let's say you had, I don't know, let's just picture anything, like a bank account. A bank account might have a balance. And the balance would be something you'd want to store with the bank account. So this becomes a member variable. So when they happen to be the same name, then that's why we had that underscore town equals town. Because we're setting a member variable to a parameter. Or well, to an argument technically, which is the manifestation of that parameter. All right, so something needs to call this and nothing's going to call this. And we need the state machine to even know that you can do this. And there's got to be some system. And that means that something needs an event that listens to this. Yeah. Yeah, just large toddlers. That's what I read on my resume, large toddler. Can't you create a separate class for bank account? Yeah, and you would do that. But you still need to store, think about this, you need to store the balance somewhere. And you don't need to do it inside of a class necessarily, but it's, I mean, at some point you've got a mutable section of memory that you need to update a balance for a bank account. So yeah, think of when you finally have some function called like set balance, what are you going to do? You're going to set your balance equal to the value. You're probably going to have a bunch of checks around this so that you don't just set your bank account to $1 million. All right, so started battle worker. We need there to be some state that keeps track of this. So I'm going to need a new component. Maybe we call it like worker state machine component. And then a system that's going to handle this, I think. Let me write this down. Something needs to call started battle. We should make a worker state machine component and store a reference to the state machine. In there, then there should be a system that is told about new workers so that it can set up the right listeners. We could just have the town do this for now, but I don't want to keep adding to the town code. Pockets? Yeah, pockets. I think that's pretty reasonable. I think if we stopped exactly there, then I think it'd be fine. Yeah. No checks needed, just set my bank account to $1 million. This reminds me of one of the new Chris and Jack sketches, which for anyone who wants something to watch during, oops, sorry about that. This, share, copy, and paste. There we go. All right, worker state machine component. Let's go do that. Worker state machine 31. What is this most similar to? I guess just like town component is pretty close. So say there's a worker state machine component. Replace that, replace that. Why did the word component exist in the other component, but not this one? Why? What? There's literally only one other component that doesn't do this? Oh, that's a mistake. Oh, man. Yeah, that's a mistake. All right, well, whatever. We'll just fix that later. Bug rename this to be this to match the others. All right, well, what that means is that we need the word component in here, which is kind of stupid because it's already all over the place. And this is going to take in the state machine, which is a node 2D type. No, it's a game state machine. Wait a second. Is that even how this works? Worm.png again. Why does it keep coming up? It's going to take in this. So state machine component. Good. Wait, why isn't that a game state machine? Yeah, this is going to be broken. Oh, that's why it didn't complain to me. Oh, drat. It's going to break everything, isn't it? The type cannot be used as parameter T2. There is no implicit reference conversion from state to game state. Yeah. It's got to be a game state, and then this is all going to break. Fine. It's more like a low percent speedrun. Low percent is the percentage how much money you can get of the total world wealth. Do you use, I think it was called inheritance? Yeah, I do use inheritance. In fact, anywhere you see this, like A:B inside of a class definition, that is, that doesn't have to be inheritance. It could be implementing an interface. But yeah, this is inheritance. Worm will never fail us, except for Worm just did fail us. Also, man, I gotta pick up the pace if we're gonna get all this stuff working. This is base wander, which now needs to be a game state, which means that customer wander also needs to be a game state. Oh, it will be just by virtue of having that, which means customer now needs a state machine that has a game state in it. All right, so then buy item needs to change, sure. And probably some other ones need to change too. What else do we have here? Stupid worm.png. I'm typing worker. It's just finding worm. It's never going to stop showing up. All right, is that good? I think that might be everything. Can you inherit stuff in the game engine? Yeah, you can. Yeah. All right, any other customer nodes? All right, now let's just check worm.png really fast. Yep, looking good. Now we need something to call this. I started making the state. I didn't finish the state. Yeah, this should have been a game state machine with a game state. State machine. And we're going to store this. State machine. State machine. And we have a get town. I don't need that. All right, now just go import that. So you want to add this into here, but it won't actually have a state machine set yet. I guess because we only make it in this. Okay. Then we are going to change how this works. For state machine component, whatever, I don't care about that. Let's put this over here. There we go. So add it as a child and then go make this component. Actually, we don't even need to do things this way, right? ECS.add component instance. It's not even instance, it's just this new worker state machine. All right, we're getting there. When do we get the worm state machine? Can you name stuff with emoji? Let's find out. Int hi equals 5. No, you can't. Unexpected character. Yeah. All right, so we're one step closer to this, but now nothing is connecting to the worker state machine to tell you that you've started a battle. It's hilarious and also useless. I think it's probably mostly useless, actually, yeah. I was gonna say, I don't think probably you ever want that in your code. What was I gonna do? I was gonna go to create worker. We added here, we get the worker instance. So now we need to get the Wismic. there. And then we need it to know when you start a battle. And what does this? Oh man, what tells the guild master even? Ugh. There it is. Start a battle. Yeah, what are you called? Town start a battle? What is this? Where do you come from? Can we listen to this ourselves? I do not know. Let's try that. Delegate does not take 0 arguments. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of stuff there. Well, I don't really care about that bunch of stuff, do I? Oh god, this is going to be annoying to plumb through everything. Probably going to make an object out of that at some point. But that should work. So let's try that out. Oh man. It does make for fun jokes. Am I running out of time? I'm running out of time. Oh man. Being helpful to Future Adam. Future Adam has no idea. Well, I mean, I haven't done anything yet that I just mentioned about making a bundle of parameters there and putting it in one class. Also, this is probably not the best place for this, but it should work. So now the worker state machine, we had a waiting for first battle. No, it's called wait for first battle. And we transition to wonder. Okay, this. So here's what we're going to do. Also, this is not wait for first battle to end. This is wait for it to start, I guess. So technically, this is not correct, but yeah. All right, the workers are just going to stand there, but as soon as we create a battle, they should wander. Yes, look at that. Nice. And they just wander right into town. They're like, show me the items. And an item pops out. Oh, but only one. All right, so let's write this somewhere. Clean up. Technically, I'm only waiting for the first battle to start, not end. So the worker is wandering too soon. Look at him go. Yeah. Skull.walk arrow. That is how I would do that. All right, we don't have much more time. And like I said, there's no way we could finish all of this stuff anyway in like 6 minutes. So what do we have? Something needs to call start battle. We should make a component. We did all that. It'd be nice to show outlines around characters that should be clickable. You don't actually ever click your worker, I guess. Yeah. Show you standing next to the guild master. Make your character walk to them. Hire an adventurer, spawn them. Okay, so this is where I think we need to pick up where when we do this again later. When you hire your adventurer, spawn them next to the guild master as well. I guess technically where I left off is clean up my commit and then start working on the adventurer stuff. If I had 1 more minute, but I don't. Okay, so let's take a look at this from the beginning. We have here's how the game now starts. Now, granted, it will lock the camera here-ish, but it's not doing that for me because I have a debug built. I've got the land for Skeleton, but I need adventurers to do battle for me. If only I had a guild. You click look around, which I know is masked. We're going to fix that. And there's a sign. Whoa, look at that. There is a problem here, which is that the particles, by the time this shows up, are already at maximum. So I'd like some way to cut that out. And maybe that's the last thing we're going to do here. Where do we do this? I don't think we do it anywhere. I think it's the scene itself is doing that. The sign has a CPU particles. No, we fade this in, don't we? Signpost, yeah, right there. Where are you? Set up sign particles. Modulate, and over the course of 30 seconds, make it show more. Yeah. I think we need to call this again when you show this. Lack, please do not segment messages. So your last 5 messages, please just type as 1 next time. It's one of the only rules in this chat, but I know there's no way for you to know ahead of time, but that's me telling you the rule now. Okay, so I want to reset the particles on this. One way we could do this is just whenever the visibility changes, set this thing up. We could also just make this protected and try calling it and see what happens. I know that's going to result in there being 2 tweens for this. Lack, it's that you don't type multiple messages. You type it as 1 message. Yeah. So here's what I mean, just to be super clear. You would have typed this out like so. Yeah, that. So that's 1 message instead of 3. Less spam, easier to read. Yeah. All right, let's test this out, and then I think that's it. Yeah, I think we're out of time at that point, and I got to start prepping for the interview. Prep for me just means setting up the right scene and also going and taking a quick break. All right, what did I just do? Did I just do? Oh, yeah, the sign particles. Yeah, so if I wait a little bit of time and then finally click look around, this should start with 0 particles. Not 0 particles, faded out particles, I guess. I don't think that's happening, though. I think I need to do something different here. So I guess we need to write that down. I need to reset the particles on the sign. I'll just... I tried calling this, but I think I need to stop the previous tween. That's a good question, Funky Monkey. Is Ella interviewing me or am I interviewing Ella? So the way it's probably going to work is there's going to be about 45 minutes of me interviewing Ella, and then 10 to 15 minutes, well, I should say like 45 to 50, of the opposite. Okay, I'm going to go take a break. You can all play Jump Royale. When I come back, we're going to switch into interview mode. For those who haven't seen this sort of segment before, it is a talk show style interview. It's not a mock interview. We're not talking about like, hey, go code this algorithm or something. And it's with Ella, who's a PhD candidate in computer science at Clemson University. There are a lot of past interviews here on YouTube. I've done 5 of them so far. So this will be the 6th one. Yeah, thank you, Lack. Yeah. Okay. I will be back in a little bit. Is it jump time? It's jump time. Hey everybody, close the game. Zoom out on my camera. There we go. There's nothing visible in my room, right? Yeah, I guess not. I guess we'll find out when I switch to this. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, so interview prep. Oh wait, no, not this one. Mentoring prep. I crammed it into this document. All right, interview. Switch to interview scene, take down my green screen, zoom on my camera, keep Discord on left monitor, ping people on Discord, conduct interview from Obsidian rather than Docs, change stream titles. Oh yeah, let's change the stream title. Interviewing Ella, PhD candidate in computer science at Clemson University. Let me make sure. Yeah. I see a red drape. Yeah. That it being visible is fine. I just meant like no trash or anything. Not that there's trash in the room that you can't see. I'm just. Oh, wait. I gotta copy this over there first. There we go. All right. Then we delete all my tags I'm gonna have to recreate afterward. Actually, is there an interview tag? There is. All right. Ever made a syntax error so dumb when you realize you noticed that you were trying to do was way more complicated or not a thing at all? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I live in the dumpster. Oh, like bind. All right, what else do we have here? Change today command. Yep. Adam is interviewing Ella. I guess we could just take the same description. Adam is going to try to save some time at the end of the interview for Ella to interview him. All right, see the interviews document for more information and links. Yep. Today. Cool. I think that's everything. We got 4 minutes. Give me a sec. Okay. Yeah, so chat, I do not tend to read chat during the interview, but at the beginning of the interview, I usually try to read it to see is the audio leveled correctly. So let me know if everything sounds pretty good, like you can hear her as well as you can hear me. I've prepared a lot of questions. I usually do a decent amount of prep for these interviews, and this one is no different. And that way we can keep them interesting. I think that if I were to literally just show up and just have a conversation, I think it'd be okay, but I wouldn't have all the topics that I have. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait a couple minutes. Actually, I could ping Ella and ask if she's free now. Is there anything else I need to do here? I don't think so. Yeah. All right, I'll ping her. Oh, she already pinged me. Did she say, let me know when ready? Okay, yeah. All right, so let me switch to this. And I'll give her a call. And like I said, please let me know about audio leveling, because I'm going to do something on my side. But if at one point you're like, it's typically that she's going to be quieter than me. If she sounds quieter, just let me know. I'll bump up the volume. Gonna call. Okie dokie. Hello. Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay, glad to hear it. I am just setting up. Where is this thing? I can't find the Discord window for some reason. Okay, there it is. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry about this. There's a weird name that shows up in OBS. There we go. Okay. So chat, you can see Ella, right? And can't hear her, Lax said. Can anyone else hear her? Ella, why don't you tell us, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
I had a baked pumpkin oatmeal muffin.
No, that sounds very interesting. are, are you the kind of person who's super excited for the fall season when all the
Oh,
pumpkin stuff comes out?
oh, 100%. I am a pumpkin spice fanatic. It hits September 1st, and I'm on
Yeah.
it.
Well, that is it's certainly the season for it right now. I was gonna say I don't tend to have too much of it myself, but I've seen some weird things that show up with it. Like there were these pumpkin spice coated pretzels that I tried one time. Anyway, we're here for an interview. This is Ella. She is
Yeah.
a computer science PhD candidate at Clemson University. I wanted to talk about your research, but I first wanted to start by talking about you a little bit more. So let's start with what got you into computers in the first place.
So I've had the privilege of just having computers, video games, video consoles like around me like my whole life.
Mhm.
My parents actually bought themselves SNESes for Christmas one year, and they didn't know they had gotten each other that game console.
Yeah.
So it really started with video games, and then we always had a home PC. My grandparents had a computer at home. They're the ones that mostly look after me, like especially since my parents are working and when I wasn't at school, I hogged the computer all day long. And yeah, so it was just yeah, it was they were just always there. So it was something that was ever present. I always enjoyed it. I picked it up really easily, things like that.
Yeah, I think it's good to be immersed in it. When did you first start programming?
I actually didn't start programming until college.
Okay, starting with
Um,
the formal education then, yeah.
yeah, so like I wouldn't consider the like 2 lines of HTML that I did on like my Neopets page to make my text pink or whatever, and like my guild. I did because I didn't understand what it was. I was like, oh, I can make things pink. Here we go. Copy this and paste it into the you know text editor. I didn't understand that that was programming at the time,
Yeah, and
but
yet
yeah.
that's accessible for a lot of people. And actually I find that truer and truer today, and maybe we'll talk about this, which is that games are a great intro for programming because people are motivated to play games already. And they're
Yeah.
motivated to make these changes that they want to make either through mods or through, like you said, a Neopets page turning a different color. I want to advance the timeline a bit now. So Ella shared her background with me for those in chat. And in 2017, I believe you got your CS undergraduate degree. Now, we know now that you're a PhD candidate. And yet there were 2 years where you went to be an intern followed by a full-time employee in cybersecurity. What steered you away from doing a postgraduate degree at first?
I was done. I was so done with school. I didn't want to learn anymore. I was, it took me in college. Like I finally found like a really good friend group, and then when you graduate, you all go different places, right? Everyone splits to different sides of the country, and it's just like, why would I want to go back and have to redo this? Um, and I was ready to just hustle. I was ready to make money. I was ready to live on my own. I wanted to move out of my mom's house. I wanted to buy a car. Typical 22-year-old with aspirations of possessions.
Yeah,
Um,
well, and like I said, we know that you ended up back in the academic world, and you did tell me a little bit about this. I assume it was the beginning of 2019 where you had your words, a bad mentor, or bad mentoring at least, that said you need grad school in order to succeed. Are you happy with that fork in your life? You ended up going to grad school, but if you hadn't, would you have still been in cybersecurity?
I don't think I still would have been in the same position. Um, I really don't know because like it ended up being at the time of like, oh, you have to go and get your graduate degree. Like you're never gonna make money. You may not go up for promotions. And I was like, to me, that didn't quite mesh with the worldview that I had.
Hmm.
Because I was, I'm gonna use the word tenured in my position with the government. I had had time and grade, like pretty much, I'd have to commit a crime to be, fired. Which isn't something that I was a hard worker. I like being challenged and things like that. So it was kind of a divisive thing within myself. I was always told, work hard, you'll get the things you want. You put in the effort, you reap what you sow, and things like that. And I was like, well, why do I need a piece of paper to show that I'm working hard and then also have to work basically doubly hard outside of work. It doesn't quite make sense to me
Well,
at the time.
okay, again, I feel like we now know you're about to get your PhD and actually spring of 2025. But back then, did you sort of cross-reference that advice with other people and see what they think? Did you have people you trusted in the industry to sort of know whether that was good advice or not?
So that's what was surprising is, where I was positioned, a lot of the people there didn't even have a bachelor's degree.
Mm.
They were people they have been working for 10, 15, 20 years. They're all my parents' age. I'm the age of their child. So they were like, well, yeah, my kids are going to college. My kids are going to grad school. I didn't. And I really didn't have anyone, because like in my family, I may be the second person to go to grad school. And it's like my dad only has an associate's. My mom got her bachelor's when I was, I think, just after I was born. So we're not. What's the word? There's like a word for. I'm kind of a first generation graduate student in my family. Is that the right way to put that?
Yeah. I
So I
see what you're
really
saying.
didn't have that familial kind of information or just people to turn to, because almost everyone I knew just went to work. Like they went into industry, they got jobs at Fangs, they took their internship and converted it to full time. So they're like, "Ooh, grad school, not for me."
Well,
So
okay. So two more things, and I do want to eventually get to your research here. You mentioned
yeah,
when I asked, okay, 2017, why didn't you go to postgrad? You said I was done. 2 years later, well, maybe 2.5, 3, you were in grad school. Did you feel like, oh man, I was done? I'm dragging myself back here.
yes. So kind of in that same time period, I was actually splitting my time at work with my cybersecurity team and in the research and development division. I had an excellent mentor over there,
Hmm.
and he's like, "What you're doing is peanuts. If you are not enjoying yourself and you aren't having fun, come over here and do really hard things and, explore things that you've never done." I was like, I work with formally verifiable languages. I didn't think I'd ever do that, but it was really cool and the applications were fun. And then he got a better job, which good for him. And he's like, all right, peace. And I was like, oh, okay. So he left a lot of his research to me, but I didn't have a graduate degree. And so I was like, okay, I'll go get my master's and I'll try and keep resubmitting for funding for the things that he gave me. None of them got refunded. And I don't necessarily think it was because of my like education status, because
Hmm.
it was just continuing research that was already you know kind of laid out, kind of in progress. And so I kind of was in flux at work. I was having to bounce around team to team to try to not go and back full time to the cybersecurity stuff, because it was a dumpster fire. So I decided to go and get my like a part time master's, because my kind of bad mentor at the time was like, yeah, like the government will pay for it. And I went and looked at the contract. I was like, if I do this at the timeline and pace that I want to, I'm going to owe service back longer than I ever want to work.
Yeah.
It was something like 5 times the amount of time you're in school back in service. And they've since changed that, which is
That's
very nice. And they've actually included it in the PhD now. So a bunch of my old coworkers I see on campus now, which is fun. But yeah, so I kind of just to like circle back around. I didn't really expect to be there, but I was trying to use it as a safety net,
yeah.
basically, of like, if I gotta go, and if this guy is telling me I actually need a master's, any form of graduate degree, I'll have one.
Yeah, I feel like sort of in a maybe a little bit larger sense here, we all live our lives according to lots of different motivations. Your own motivations, other people's, and your motivations were very much get out of the academic world in 2017 and then became, hey, this your fantastic mentor really influenced you to join. And unfortunately they left, but it sounds like there was still a fire in you at that point where you thought, I believe in this, I like this, maybe I believe the whole what you're doing is peanuts thing. Um, so okay, I want to shift into your research, but I want to make a comment before that I wonder how much of your path led to influencing your research. And not just, you mentioned that there was this fantastic mentor who had started things and you wanted funding for those projects, but a lot of what you're doing is what I would call almost non-traditional computer science. It's either what are different aspects of influencing education or live streaming, which is certainly non-traditional. So let's break down. You have, I think, three parts of your research. There was software development communities, live streaming and software development, and then informal approaches to education. So how about we start with the communities? What are the sorts of communities that you're talking about when you talk about these communities?
Yeah, so communities that stem from live streaming. So Discord, subreddits, even Stack Overflow to a certain degree are all communities. I've actually tried to interface a little bit with like in person communities. So we have like all those online spaces, and then we have our in person spaces. In person spaces are a little bit few and far between, at least where I am. They call us Silicon Harbor, but there isn't that big of a tech space here
Yeah.
yet. Um, and I was really interested in these communities because, and it's going to sound a little strange, but as a woman in tech, just in STEM in general, you're always kind of put in this box that these communities are going to be stinky, sweaty places where no one wants to help you. And I think 20 years ago, no one knows you're a dog on the internet, but I think they may have been a little bit more inclusive than
Mm-hmm.
they are now. And I just always thought I couldn't get over that dichotomy of like I was always told these spaces were, kind of awful places to be, but if you actually spend more than 2 minutes looking at something and you can try to fit your way in there, they're fantastic resources for everyone, from novices to established, software developers and software engineers.
Yeah, I want to go back one tiny step here because maybe I misheard. Did you say they were more inclusive 20 years ago because it was purely online?
I said I was meaning like less
Oh,
inclusive,
less
like
inclusive. Okay.
more of a like I don't want to call it a boys club, but like if someone strange shows up in your local game store, like what are you doing here? I hadn't seen you here before, and you can kind of feel a little, I don't know, singled out in
Yeah,
a way.
yeah, yeah. That exclusivity, I feel, has been a focus for a lot of companies at the very least in the last, honestly, maybe like 5-ish years. I think they'd
Mhm.
always sort of said it, but there wasn't really action behind those words. And now I feel like a lot of companies are saying, hey, we have programs about diversity, about inclusion, and making sure that employees are empowered to do that. And I'm guessing this actually probably stemmed from even earlier in the pipeline of, hey, in universities, let's also try to be inclusive and let's make sure that everyone can have a voice. And I think it's great. I'm also glad to hear that you reported as a woman in tech that it's not as standoffish as it might have seemed originally, because I have interviewed other women in tech, and I think largely the sentiment is better than I would have thought it would be. So that's really good news.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think that within the past 5 years, things have really, taken her. I think I don't know the actual stats, but I know that even though it's not like equitable,
Hmm.
women in STEM and tech are continuing to increase little by little bit.
Yeah.
From what was a women dominated field in the 50s and 60s
Yeah.
did a whole, you know flip, and so we're slowly like kind of making our way back up there.
Yeah. And
So
I don't think, well, maybe people know about this, but yes, that it started with largely women in tech. Women were the programmers, the people who were coding into these mainframe computers, and somehow that all got flipped, and now it's hopefully getting back to a little bit more equitable, as you say. Going back to communities, so you mentioned Discord, subreddits. How do people find each other? How do they join these communities?
great question. A lot of it. So I've done a small survey. It ended up being a really small sample size because, again, as a researcher and you're coming to these communities, I reached out to you, and I try to reach out to moderators before I just start posting. Right. No one wants to have their space invaded.
Hmm.
So it can actually be kind of hard to kind of get that kind of data unless you're already in those communities. And I can't participate in every single development community, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it ended up being a lot of word of mouth. like, oh, my friend says that like this community is really cool, you should go check them out. It ended up stemming from like Google searches, like I have a problem and I have absolutely no idea what's happened. And then you end up at the Godot subreddit, you end up on the Python subreddit, you end up on coding for beginners, Rust, Ruby, and you kind of can start to see the impact and influence these communities may have when you have questions and you're starting to learn. And then if you stay in them, people often end up uh, they'll go from being that person who lurks and only uses the community as information only to start being like, well, actually, I ran into this. Did you try this? And then they grow even a little bit more. They might even take on a mentorship role and be like, hey, I think you may be approaching this the wrong way. Let me help you. Here's what I did. Here's what you can try. And you start pointing to all these other resources. So you can end up growing in these communities. But yeah, so, like word of mouth, finding through searches, and then some people just found them randomly. There was a couple people, especially with Discord, like Discord communities, they were just scrolling through the list and were like, "This one looks interesting," and it ended up being really relevant for them.
Yeah, I find the same sort of thing happen here on the randomness aspect, which is people on Twitch get dumped from stream to stream through the rating system and what used to be the hosting system. And some people would say, I would never have sought out this content, but now that I'm here, it's either relaxing or it's nice or I'm productive when I'm here. And I always wondered, how could you sort of exploit is the wrong word, but take advantage of that effect and dump more people into this and see, hey, do you like this or how else would you have found it? Um, I want to, this question just popped up in my head. Have you looked into communities like Blind? Have you heard of Blind?
No, what's up?
Okay, so my understanding, I'm not actually in any of these communities, but it's a site for employees of companies. And to join, you need to have proven that you have a, at Amazon address or an at Google address. And my other understanding is that they're typically negative about these companies and about the industry at large, and it's anonymous, so they post their gripes with whatever's going on. Anyway, if you haven't looked into that, then I'll forego questions there. But open source, is open source another one of these communities that you look at?
So I open source. I've actually kind of tried to look at it, like not look at open source. Right, there's so much information and so much research already on open source
Mm,
projects, and that tends to be a little bit more, from what I've seen, structured, um, and a little bit more formal.
yeah,
They are still informal communities, but I've tried to make a hard line between open source and this, because the things that I'm interested in aren't necessarily one single project, right?
yeah, I
um
see. Okay, that
yeah,
makes
so
sense.
it's ended up being like kind of a point of contention within trying to get like published. They're like, well, what about OSS? And I'm like, I'm not really looking at that. It's similar, but it's actually not relevant to the things that I look at. So it's been
Yeah.
a yeah.
Are you a follower of XKCD at all, or even occasionally?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
There's one of the comics that he's done, which was like a circle of all human knowledge, and that each PhD pushes that circle out just a tiny bit. So I feel like if you are focusing on open source after talking to whomever it is, advisors or whoever's trying to get you to publish, that they're not getting that whole, I'm trying to bump out this pixel of the circle and not this pixel. So how are these communities influencing software at large?
At large, so it goes back to these people who end up being these I don't have a great word for them, but like the people who end up forming the pillars of the community, right? You can have I haven't I feel like I don't there was one community that I'd seen like where people had like come together and been like, hey, we don't like these changes. I guess like Unity is like one that's kind of on my head right
Yeah.
now, because I just watched a loading ready run on Unity. Just brought back their run times. They went away with it, but they actually took it way further than it needed to. But people within like the Unity community and those higher ups, those people with influence, they can actually make uh, people with influence can then influence things at large. They can say like, hey, why are we going in this direction? We should be going in this direction. And I think it ends up, at least in communities right now, that big topic's AI.
Hmm.
And kind of like what's the right way I'm trying to go with this. I feel like I'm squirreling a little bit, but it ends up they end up being more powerful places
Yeah,
that have influence and sway within uh, an interest at large.
I see what you're saying. And I see this happen in the content creation space as well, where people are sometimes just called influencers. But I think it used to be that, hey, here are people's YouTube channels. Sure, they're getting 1 million views or 2 million views on videos, but that's not really like advertising, traditional advertising. And now there are YouTubers who are invited to Apple exclusive events where they say, this is how we're going to get the word out there, because that's where the eyes are. That's where people are watching. So it makes sense that this is also happening with software communities, which is you get enough Unity developers together, they're going to have a voice and they get amplified by these mainstays, these pillars of the community. So it's interesting to see this develop and sort of develop around us. It's not like this has been a thing for 50 years. So pretty cool. One thing I want to take a tiny detour here, as long as we're on the topic of communities. You mentioned that you had a paper published, I believe, on engaging communities. I was curious, for the lay people out there, what are sort of the top takeaways of if you wanted to engage a community, how do you do it?
Yeah, the first place to start is actually read the community's rules. If they say no soliciting, that means no soliciting. Don't ask. It they'll be mean. If they don't have it listed, and you approach moderators, approach a mod mailbox, and just explain who you are, why you're approaching them, why you want their data, and what you're going to do with it. And you can try to be as open and honest as you can without like compromising or influencing potential responses. Because it really does just suck. Like communities don't want to be looked at necessarily. They're not fish bowls, right? That's not the point of them. And as a researcher, you have to respect that. If people don't want to be researched, they don't want to be researched. But on the flip side, the things that you want to research and the things that come out of it could actually benefit these communities. Um, so you have to try to like be like you have to try and carrot and stick them, uh, and it works out sometimes. I'd say about 50% of the time it works every time.
Yeah.
It's hard to make yourself vulnerable because some people will come back and say like, you suck. I've gotten there's some quotes in the paper from some subreddits moderators who say awful and unkind things, and
And
it's just like I didn't need that.
I this aspect of anonymity, I think, is incredibly insidious because when you see someone face to face and you're looking them in the eyes, you can see the sort of micro reactions on their face as you're saying something to them, and then change course as you're saying it. But this asynchronous communication, first of all, you're not in front of someone. I actually wonder if this is a random side note, if they've done research on I'm typing to you while looking you in the face, does that increase empathy at all?
Ooh.
So anyway, interesting thought. But yeah, when these people are just behind their keyboards and they've painted you to be whatever, almost caricature of what you might be in their head, and then they sort of attack that straw man and say, no, get out of here, you're just using this. I think that can be a challenging barrier to overcome. On my flip side of this, as someone who's running a community, I have had people come in and sort of violate all of the rules. And it is frustrating sometimes because I like being helpful. And the very nature of streaming is people come in and ask me questions from very basic things like what language should I learn to very advanced things like, hey, I have this library, and I have a bug. What do I do about it? And I've given people my time who are total strangers. And sometimes they sort of get this expectation that I'm going to forever give them my time for free. And it's tough. And there are all these parasocial relationships that happen with streaming anyway that make it difficult for me to navigate that as the person with the community. So anyway, long story short, I appreciate the way that you engaged this community and it led to this interview. So clearly we're all happy.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say like if there's a way I could have better engaged, let me know. I'm here to improve whatever I need to, because at the end of the day, I don't ever want to hurt anyone's feelings or come off as like, give me your data or else. That's not. That's not
Yeah,
me.
I
That's a
think
video
my only
game.
tip would be fewer gun emojis in your opening email next time. I'm
Hold,
kidding.
I'm holding you hostage.
Yeah, I'm holding you hostage. I want your data. I think the way you did it was really good. I think the other thing is a personal growth on my end is that I've been streaming for the last roughly a decade. And at the beginning, I was very sort of closed off to those sorts of suggestions. And over time, I thought I should at least hear what the person has to say, even if I'm not open to it. And a lot of the ways that plays out is with sponsorships where I'm like, this is not a good fit. I don't want to do that. But that's very much a transactional relationship. This is, I feel like, helps research. Um, I want to continue with the research, by the way, for a second. So
Yeah.
we talked about communities in software development. The second part, and this is in my mind the largest part that I wanted to focus on, is live streaming in software development. So what are some of the topics you've covered there? And I recognize this could be very expansive. So yeah,
Yeah.
give us an intro.
So research into live streaming is starting to become more popular. A lot of it is on gaming, right? Twitch's popularity, YouTube's popularity all started off with gaming, social relationships, the behaviors associated with this sort of live, sort of asynchronous kind of deal, and it ends up being more uh, on the social end of things and not necessarily educational side. And I have absolutely no idea how I ended up in the software and game development. Actually, it was the science and technology
Yeah.
category before y'all were able, like, give us our own category. I don't want to be next to chickens anymore. Um, like live streams of chicken coops, which was kind of fun. It was like, oh, ooh, Rust, chickens,
Yep. Yep.
aquariums. Um, and I actually don't remember how I got there. And I was like, oh, why would someone want to watch someone code? That's weird. And then I did it, and I was like, oh, this is fun. You're like seeing how the sauce is made. You have a peek behind the curtain, and I was like, well, this is cool. I wish that I had in my mind what this was an actual fountain of mentors that I could pick from.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, if I had this in high school, maybe I would have started coding before then. Maybe I would be a stronger coder now if I had been able to just go and find someone who was doing something that I had been interested in, and things like that. Uh, and what was the rest of the question? I'm
Oh
getting I'm
no,
getting
so
off. Yeah,
no, that's good. It was mostly like, what have you uncovered so far? But what you're talking
right.
about, at least what I'm hearing here, is it was a nice surprise to stumble upon this, and it lowers the barrier for entry and made it more accessible and allows you to ask questions, allows other people to ask questions, and probably triggered a spark in your brain of where could this go?
Yes, and so I guess so that, and then kind of like what I've seen there is just are things that I've personally seen as a viewer, and that's kind of what my next paper is. What I've really focused on, kind of that first question of like, why do you do this? Like it's kind of weird, right? Like I get you want people who are playing games like, oh, look at me, I'm an elite gamer, I can go on a 212 KD and one trick mercy. I don't know. I was like, but like, why does someone want to stream themselves doing their day job? And so that's where I started off with. And the things that I found are, they're kind of along the same ideas. They're accountability
Mhm.
for themselves. Like, uh, they couldn't, not they, I was like, they couldn't. That sounds very, well, they were bad people. No. It was just a way to set aside time
Yeah.
for yourself, for you to do a thing that you need to do. There's the social aspect of it. It was just like I was working at home and it was COVID and I was lonely and I started to just do my job live, and people came in and I could talk to people and I found friends and I found a community. I've built this community. Um, and then like it was also just people wanted to advertise what they were doing,
Yep.
you're doing it. You're building your own game. You're using it as you're both an education and a buy my game when it's done. You've seen it made. So it kind of ends up being the things that I've seen from the streamer's end, and then what I want to look at now is why do you watch, and kind of understand maybe the similarities and the differences that we get from that.
Yeah, you nailed the top three reasons for me, which were accountability, sort of staying sane with the social aspect, and then yes, marketing the game. Um, Timeline wise, you mentioned spring of 2025 for completing your PhD, which I recognize there's probably some fuzziness there, and I don't know how many back and forths there can be, but that is roughly, let's say, 6 months from now. And you're focusing on this viewer aspect. I see your face changing already. So is this a time crunch? Because this sounds like a lot of work to do, maybe for.
So yeah, so I've actually been trying to get participants for this research since January.
Hmm.
Um, and it kind of boils down to that, getting access to communities and also getting over my own fears of reaching out, right? Because the live streaming software development community is small. So if I make one mistake and somehow someone takes me as a airhead or, butt face, that could just ruin everything, and
Yeah.
I may not, you know, may not be able to get participants, which kind of sucks. But no, I think I believe that I could do it. Like, really, the only thing, so finishing up getting participants
Hmm.
for my viewer study is, as long as I can get I have a number, um, I could do that data analysis and write up the results between like now and Christmas. I
Yeah.
have I have all I have all the background ready, motivations, research. I have all my research questions, because you have to have all of that before you do the study, because you
Yeah.
would then be gathering data with no research question and going. I've done that, and trying to figure out the research question from the data you have, no go.
Very tough.
And then the other part of my dissertation is actually getting my students to live stream. Um, and
Oh.
I'm collecting that data now. That'll be done in December. I take Christmas off because that's when my birthday is. Like, there's no one needs to work over holidays on your birthday. It's a
Hmm.
hard stop for me. And then I get about 3 to 4 months to probably wrap that up, possibly run it again. So it is a time crunch. I I know it's possible. It's if I can, hold myself accountable to get it done.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's just that. And this is where I'm going to talk to you, the audience. And if you're watching this on YouTube in the next maybe month or so, Ella has shared a link to her survey on my Discord. I'll probably end up putting this in the YouTube video as well. It would greatly help her out if you could go take that survey. That is, maybe you said 10 to 15 minutes, right? Sorry, Ella.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. That was like a 10 to 15-minute time investment on the survey. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're
So
all.
about 10 to 15 on the survey, and then for interviews, if you want to do an interview, I try to do a 30-minute to 45-minute time block.
And do
Sorry,
you.
I started reading chat, and I was like, wait, I shouldn't do that.
That's okay. Did you get your target number of interviews? Do you mostly need survey participants? Do you mostly need interviewees or both?
I still need both. I am approaching some pretty good survey numbers, but the more surveys, the better, because that tends to be like where you get your like data saturation, right? That you can say, I've gotten this many surveys. I may only have 5 or 6 interviews, but if these 50 to 60 surveys say exactly what these interviews are saying, you can kind of match your point.
Yeah, I see.
Uh,
Okay, cool. Well, again, audience, don't forget to participate. I wanted to ask you about something, and I'm going to read this quote because I think I pulled this from the document you shared with me. But you mentioned that participating in the research could potentially, and I'm quoting here, help build an argument that live streaming could be used as an educational tool. So, in my mind, without a doubt, it can be used as it. But what I wanted to sort of find out is, what is the thought of using it as a tool? Is it more incidental, as in, hey, these people happen to be streaming, so now students can go find them? Or is it more intentional, like we should get more people streaming? What's the thought process after sort of proving that it's a tool?
so for me right now, it's kind of both, right? I I learn best not in a classroom, right?
Hmm.
If I can go and I could watch someone spell it out for me, and I'm not having to like be like, oh man, is anyone like seeing me struggle here? I think that we need to like advertise tools like live streaming as like, hey, this is just as good,
Mm.
maybe if not better, than watching an hour-long YouTube video about maybe something sort of related. You can gather so much more information passively from someone who's moderate to even an expert live streaming, right? You may not necessarily see that at the time, but I believe, and at least from what other streamers believe, um, that you can end up growing even by like watching these things and finding interests and gaining access to these communities who have the same interests as you, right? And then on the flip side of that, I believe that we need to have students learn informally more,
Hmm.
right? We don't give students the opportunity to say, do a project, there's no rubric. Because that's what you do when you go into industry, right? Like, you have to figure out the problem. You have to be able to articulate your ideas, your thought process behind it, and you don't get a chance to really practice that in college. And that's skills you learn through informal opportunities. And so I want to give students that opportunity. And I think the best way to possibly do that is through live streaming. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So far, I think kind of what I've seen, my students have been really open and responsive um, to their time live streaming. So.
Yeah. I, Going back a step to the, someone could be sort of moderate to possibly an expert if they're live streaming, and there could still be value for the viewers. I've had people come in and comment on, practically everything. I'm doing this very publicly. So they'll comment on things from how I organize my thoughts to what tools I'm using to how I'm using those tools to then the actual programming, design patterns, etc. And there are people who even recently have said things like, I did not know this was possible on Windows or in VS Code. And had I not been watching, I wouldn't have known that. This is something that I feel like the only other way you'd probably get that experience, unless you stumbled on it, you were online and someone was like, hey, here's a hotkey you might not have known about, as if you're looking over someone's shoulder in real life. Maybe you're at work with them and you're like, well, what did you just do there? And you're probably less likely to think I should ask this question while you're looking over their shoulder. So yeah, there is a lot that I think can come from the live streaming aspect. You mentioned you wanted to approach it from both sides though, not just viewership. How do you approach it from the getting more people to stream? You said you're doing this with your students right now. How has that been going?
So last week was their first stream. They were all pretty excited about it, actually. A couple people ended up like telling their friends like, hey, can you just come give me some viewers, like, so I don't feel so lonely? And they ended up having like a great conversation. So we'll see how this semester goes. I've actually made some changes at my class based on last semester.
Mm-hmm.
Last semester was a bit of a dumpster fire. And I take 100% responsibility for that. This is my first class I've ever designed,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, typically in an undergraduate context, 1 credit hour means 3 hours of work.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, if you're taking this because it's a variable hour credit elective, 1 hour, 3 hours of streaming. If you take it for 3, you're streaming 9 hours a week. And I was like, you can do this whenever. If you want to stream 9 hours, 1 a.m. to 8, 9, 8, 10 a.m., go for it. If you want to break it up, go for it. And that ended up being too much for them, right? Especially for students who had never streamed before. And so I've made some changes to be like, all right, it's 1 to like 1.5 to 2.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I also have someone this semester who is a repeat. So I'm going to be really looking at them to see like, hey, have these changes stuck, and how have you grown?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because obviously they're taking the class again. I didn't mess up too much.
No. Yeah. And I think you should give yourself some credit for that. I was laughing because I was just picturing someone who's taking 12 credit hours, which they probably can't even go up to that much. And you say, all right, full-time streaming, go be a student.
Yeah. No, that would be unethical.
Well, yeah. Also, I don't think you'd ever ask for that sort of thing. But from my perspective, streaming is something that does take energy, and even if you like it, it's still something you need to sort of be on for. There's a personality input that goes into it almost, and then of course while you're programming there is the difficulty of just thinking through the problems you're trying to solve. I do want to, I'm going to start like kind of pivoting around a bit here because I want to make sure I touch on some of these topics that I think will be pretty interesting. One
Yeah.
is trends in streaming. Have you analyzed viewership and stream numbers over the years and how they've been changing?
I actually haven't. So if you have your own experience with that, that would be really interesting to hear about. Because I mean, I feel like there has been more viewership since that software and technology to the software and game development category. I think
Hmm.
that's definitely helped a lot. That's been about 2 years, I think.
I don't
But yeah,
recall. I was on break for a little bit during that time, but yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, if you have like a personal anecdote about that, I'd actually be interested to like if you're how your stream's grown, you know, if you've seen changes like that.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you a brief answer to that now. So I've been streaming since roughly 2015. There was, I would say, pretty steady growth up until about maybe somewhere between 100 and 200 average viewers at any given time. And then I think it sort of topped off there. And I attribute this to Twitch not being the best platform for discovery. Because if you look at science and tech right now, it, maybe there are about 5,000 viewers. I don't know. We could actually pull it up and find out. But at its peak, it's because of one or two outliers who don't necessarily put those people back into the channel. So then they just, sort of evaporate into the Twitch ecosystem. And I don't think there's an incentive for Twitch to do this, given that most people have the same point of view you had originally, which is why would people watch someone code? Why wouldn't I go watch a 212 KD ratio, no mercy main and Overwatch? So,
Yeah.
I was going to say, oh yeah, the people who've had success have pulled in people from other platforms. The people who've gone, beyond 1,000 concurrent viewers typically,
Mhm.
and I don't think the category is going to naturally grow. That's sort of my view on this. But
Yeah.
what I was going to ask as a result of this is, how do you think that would impact education if, let's say, the category never got bigger?
I don't know if it necessarily would, because I think it still takes a certain type of learner to engage and enjoy these types of streams,
Mhm.
anyways. And I don't know if that is every person who's interested in computer science or game development or software development. I could see it potentially growing a smidgy bit, but I don't think overall it will, at least for a viewership perspective, I don't think it would, it won't put it above, you know, I don't know, League of Legends.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people watching League of Legends right now? And there is something like I kind of, it's always in the back of my mind that I don't necessarily have the answer to, but I do think about it. And someone might ask like, well, if you're gonna tell people to stream, it's going to water down this category. And for some reason, the person that asks me that in my head is just really like putting the knife in my gut and twisting because I don't actually have an answer to that. I don't think it would be bad because it would just make a bigger pool of people to engage with, right? The more people there are in a category, the more likely you'll find viewership and community that is closer to you and matters to you.
Yeah.
Is how I would take that because when you start to get to these streams that are, you know, I mean, even at 100 people, I could see that being close to unmanageable, right? If you have 500, 1,000, 2,000 people in your streams, with someone like how Pirate Software does, or what's that guy that works for Netflix?
Primogen.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Um, you know, at what it changes the tone of the community, right?
It
It's
does. And this brings us to a very important point, which I think is at the crux of software development streaming. When you are a gaming streamer, maybe you have some goal of completing the game, but in general, I think probably most gaming streamers' goals are to be entertained for some time and entertain their audience. And that's it. So if they want to say, you know what, I put my keyboard aside, I put my mouse aside, I'm just going to talk to you for the next 2 hours. If that gets viewership, then they're probably happy and their needs are met. In software development streams, I feel like there's this constant battle between productivity and interactivity. And yeah, if I'm chatting, I'm not only not working, but I'm also context switched into chat mode such that I'm working at a lower efficiency level. And I think that's why I've seen this trend a little bit. If you have more than 1,000 viewers and you're working on a software project, you're probably not really working as hard as someone with 10 viewers, let's say. So yeah, there is that inflection point that I think makes it tough.
Yeah.
Anyway, other trends I wanted to talk about here were, do you see trends like VTubers or co-working? Do you see that impacting the education space at all?
In the education space, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the co-working. I haven't actually really studied any co. I want to. That's actually something that I want to do a mm, ethnography kind of study on. Like I kind of want to start doing that, but that requires me to do have more time that I need. Um, but I think not in the educational space, but in the social and community space, that people there is some like new research coming out that people who use like VTuber avatars or other non your human skin avatars are actually end up being more confident when they stream,
Yeah.
which means that they may end up learning more because they're putting time into streaming. They're putting time and effort into this practice that they're doing, all because they are able to do it through this different persona. So I think that will definitely be something very interesting going forward. But I personally haven't done any actual research on VTube and those like online VTuber personas, but I think it's a definitely interesting space to look
Yeah, yeah. Well,
toward.
I think just push your PhD completion date to 2028, and then you can finish that, and we can get all this research about being more
Perfect.
confident. It's funny because one of the problems that I think, really, honestly, everybody probably struggles with, but especially in computer science, is imposter syndrome. And if you can, just by having a virtual avatar, present yourself to the world instead of yourself, then that's a way to sort of slice through that imposter syndrome. So it sounds like that's a nice little pro tip.
Everyone get a VTuber avatar. Yep.
Yep.
If that's the solution to imposter syndrome, hold on. I'll go pull a Fiverr right now and
No, really,
get me an avatar made. Even
I
though I say that jokingly,
I
but
know. Well, and there's a streamer that I watch who is a VTuber and said, I am not this talkative in real life. And so people who do watch the stream who know me in real life are like, what has gotten into you? And yet I've also heard that from someone who is not on the VTuber side of things, who said, I'm more confident on stream even without being behind a obfuscation layer of an avatar. So it's just an interesting phenomenon in general. Let's
definitely.
see. I want to give you time to ask me questions, but I wanted to see what is the most important. Oh yeah, I have a crazy idea. So, have you heard of Watch Me Forever?
No.
Okay, it is.
I'll make a
It
note about that too.
it's a Seinfeld-esque stream that is fully AI generated. So it's got animations and there are characters, and the AI is set to like set up for jokes and then have a punchline and then like change camera angles and stuff. I was curious, how would you feel about a CS version of that, where it was a Watch Me Forever style stream? It's on 24/7, and there's someone
Mhm.
who's quote unquote coding in Rust, but they don't have that productivity and interactivity problem because they're an AI. So they're not only seamlessly interacting with chat, but they're also getting things done and answering questions on their code and whatever else.
I think I may have to push my PhD to 2028 because wow, I don't that's a wild concept. So it's you're personifying AI in ways to make it, you know, uh personable. You're adding an education component and it's live so you can watch it whenever from whatever time zone. Oh,
So
my mind.
well, and I'm a little worried that I just gave away some like $1 billion idea here that I'm, freely just sharing with the world. But honestly, I do think
Copyright.
it's got a lot of interest behind it in that, yeah, it solves a problem that a human basically cannot. We can't context switch and also say two different things at once, right? We can't operate at that
Yeah.
level.
You can't. You really. I mean, even with superstar rockstar mods to be able to answer the easy questions or commands and in chat to be able to answer questions for you, there's always going to be people that come in and be like, but I actually don't understand and this didn't explain it to me. And then as the streamer, you want them to not be confused
Yeah.
or misguided in certain ways. um Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, just a
That's
crazy
a
idea.
wild concept.
Yeah. I've got a couple of little transitionary questions, and then we can get into any questions you might have for me, or I've got plenty
Yeah.
more for you. But I want to ask you, what's the next step for you? So summer 2025, let's say even things get pushed, maybe it's fall 2025. Are you going to stay in education? Are you going to go to the industry again? You're going to become a pro Magic the Gathering player?
I'm going to start F1 school. No, I really, so I'm kind of at that point where I am over academia again, right? Um, but I do love the educational space. So trying to find that sweet spot of maybe industry while still being educational related, this kind of like instructional design kind of space, I think is where I think my sweet spot is for right now. Because also just on a, like as a personal thing, my interests change about every 5 to 6 years,
Yeah.
and I'm at that 5 to 6 year mark.
Yep.
So it's like I could be doing anything next fall, but I think if I stick to my guns, I would love to be in the industry, but still, giving trainings or producing trainings for people. Or if somehow Twitch wants to hire me and we can build out Twitch education, hit me up. My email's on my website.
Yeah. I was gonna say streaming is a good way of keeping that going. And you stream already, but what you do is largely gaming, crafts, Lego. Have you thought of streaming
Unrelated to my
yourself?
research.
What was that? Yeah,
Sorry.
unrelated to research. But have you thought of streaming yourself working on a coding project?
I have, and then I ended up being the thing that I research. Right, I end up being nervous. I feel this imposter syndrome. People watching me code is just a we're gonna get an argument over tabs versus spaces, and then I'm gonna
Mm.
cry on stream.
Well, your virtual avatar
uh,
won't be crying though. It will be exuding an air of
what?
confidence as you're doing this. It's because that's the secret. Uh, I know what you mean, and I've seen this because people have asked me over the years too. How do I get started with streaming? And I say, look, the very basics are just have a computer powerful enough and turn on your stream. That's it. You
Just
don't
do
need
it.
a mic. You don't need a camera. But in general, it is overcoming that barrier of, oh, people are going to be judging me. What do I do about people stealing my code? What am I even building? What if I get bored? What if I? So yeah, there is quite a lot going on there. Um, I want to give you a chance to ask me questions because we talked about this ahead of time, and I know you said it wasn't super high priority, and that if we skipped it entirely, but I think we've got
Yeah.
about like 9-10 minutes.
Okay. Well, so if you want me to ask you one question, if you have other questions that you want to go to, one thing that I'd be really interested in is what would you change about your streams if you had infinite time or money?
So for me, I have produced thousands of hours of content at this point, and one thing that's nice about having produced that content is it's all available on YouTube and Twitch still. You could go watch it, but no one's really going to go watch it. There were a few people who, while I was on my break going to work for the industry again, they maybe played some of the videos from that playlist, had them on in the background. What I think would be really nice is if I could somehow get editors or people somehow to transform some of that content into, hey, here's what Adam learned for that 1 month of tackling this system or doing that. I think that would be great. And I think other things would just be like little professional polish things that I could do for the stream. I try to keep everything very minimalistic. It's usually just my screen, me, and a keyboard camera, and that's it. But it would still be nice to have, better transitions or to have more automation. But in general, I think it would be that the content I produce gets used for longer than just the 8 hours that I was streaming for. I think that'd be the biggest change.
Yeah. No, that I think that ends up being something that you could also then use to then it might end up growing your stream, right? Because you can then break it down into smaller pieces. You can offer that as like, hey, I see you have questions about this in chat right now. I have a whole 30-hour course broken down by, you know, every topic you need to know. Here you go. And then come back and let me know how it went. Yeah, no, I think that's infinite time, right?
Infinite time, yeah, and resources.
Do you want me to pass it back to you? Do you want to like do a little back and forth with questions? Does
I
that?
wanted you to have the time to ask because
Oh,
a lot of the things I have remaining were like large topics that even at this point I don't think we'd be able to kind of cover in totality. So yeah.
gotcha. Okay. Next one would be, so this is gonna be, what's been your biggest challenge coming back to streaming? And I believe you've been a full-time streamer now since the end of 2023, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's been your biggest challenge to overcome for that?
So honestly, the biggest challenge is maybe a bit of a surprise. For those who don't know, I worked at Google for 3 years prior to coming back to streaming. And whenever you leave something with a lot of structure for something that exercises your own agency, choosing something off the beaten path, you always wonder, am I making a gigantic mistake? So there's that identity crisis that happened for a few months of, this was my sort of dream. This is what I was longing to do. This is why I left Google. And then I got there and I was like, am I making the most of this? Am I somehow leaving something on the table? Should I be at 100% happiness every single day? And if I'm not, does that represent a problem? So I think that was the biggest difficulty. As far as the streaming landscape itself, I would say Twitch hasn't really changed a whole lot. There's some new features, there's some new memes, but other than that, it's still the same. Like, you talk into camera, they talk back at you via chat. So yeah, I think the hardest thing was the identity crisis of having left a structured world with certainty.
Yeah, and then it's like you yourself could be your own structure, but I feel like as humans we're naturally chaotic, so forming that structure within yourself is very difficult. Like I've seen kind of the same thing, like going into a PhD program. Once you're done with your classes, you don't have your PhD. Like, you have to do the research component now,
Yep.
and you know that's on you. No one makes a timeline for that.
It is, and when we talk about off the beaten path, I was looking up stats on PhDs, and I think it's roughly 10% of people with degrees have PhDs. So it's like 1 out of every 10 people is not a norm thing. It is not a, hey, every other person you meet has this. It's somewhat rare. It's like left-handed
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah, but there might be more left-handed people than PhDs, and I think that number is actually slightly stagnant or even declining. Like, less people are going for that higher, at least the PhD level. There might be more master's enrollment just because of that kind of, you have to have a master's to go forward kind of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, okay, so next question. What's been the most impactful thing that's happened as part of your like educational end game streaming? This could be like an instance of something, or just like as overall.
Okay, so the first thing that came to mind as most impactful was a very touching moment. A community member named Every Juan years ago had put together a community collage of just appreciation for the years that I'd been streaming and working on the game that I was working on at the time called Botland. And that holds a special place in my heart and probably always will. But when I hear impactful, I always think, okay, what impacted the stream, or what impacted maybe viewership numbers or impressions? I think of it as the social networking effect of meeting other streamers. And for me, again, it's maybe a little weird, but it's whenever I have interacted with someone outside of the software and game development space. So as a random example, I watched a lot of StarCraft 2 way back when. And every once in a while I would raid people who were streaming StarCraft 2, and it was a mismatch of communities because people who are watching me code aren't going to go watch an RTS game necessarily. And yet some of those people, we sort of became friends for some time. And maybe every once in a while a gaming streamer would raid me. And I always felt like, this feels like I've made some sort of crossroads or an in with a different category or set of people. So yeah, I think those two things are what I feel are sort of the most impactful. Nothing else is necessarily coming to mind, but perhaps it was the open-endedness of the question. So if you do have any follow-up, feel free.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's great. I think that is a great part of the platform, right? You can end up having your like orcs and fairies and your humans over here all come into one place. We're making a D&D meme here, I guess. They can all come to that crossroads, and it is so likely that there is going to be overlap between those things. And I think that is something that really makes this platform also kind of special, is when you can, kind of take, you can shuffle from this side of the realm to another side, and there will be overlap.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me. Those are just kind of my burning questions.
No,
So,
that's good. And thank you. And I hope you didn't feel you were put on the spot at all, because
well,
I
you're
did
good.
have plenty. Okay, so I want to leave people with a couple of things. One is, don't forget to participate in Ella's survey and possibly interview if you have the time. But the survey is certainly the easier one and should not take you very long. And that's on Discord. And we'll probably type it in a Twitch chat in just a second. The second thing is, do you want to talk about your Twitch channel? Because you mentioned that you'd like to get the word out there.
Yeah. I also have my own Twitch channel. It keeps me sane. I do a lot of Lego streams, crafting, roguelike, card-like deck building, any of those kind of. If it has cards in it, I'm gonna play it. Um, I do sometimes end up talking about my research, and I actually would really like to start looking at the creative space as well. I think there's going to be end up a lot of overlap of the same, accountability, learning as watching someone does stuff. So if I could start my own ethnographic study with that too, that would be really cool. And
Yeah.
then like researching yourself, and
Yeah.
you are now the fishbowl.
On the creative side, I think I was looking through your VODs, and I think you were making a possum out of, I want to say tufting. I'm not totally sure. And you
It
didn't
was
seem super happy with it, but it looked good to me.
the instructions were so poorly written. The photos of it were poor, and it was needle felting with wool. And I'm just like, I don't think this is gonna look like a possum at the end of it. I still have to finish that, so
Okay.
we'll see how he turns out. It's just like it's the shape of his body right now that's just a little rat like and less cute, chunky possum like.
Well, I'm sure you'll get there. I have one request for you before you like leave for the day, which is, could you share the link to your Twitch stream and then also the link to your survey directly in Twitch chat, and yeah, that way people can access it easily. But other
Yeah.
than that, thank you very much for being here for the interview, and yeah, I had a good time. I hope you enjoy the rest of pumpkin spice season.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on here. Thanks for thanks for making it opposite. Usually I'm the one doing this, so this is very cool to be on the interviewee side.
Yeah, it was fun
I've
to learn
really
about
enjoyed
what you're doing.
this.
Yeah. All right. Well, take
All
care,
right.
Ella. Have a good rest of your Friday.
Yes.
Yep.
Thanks, you too.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.
All right, everybody clap. Whoa, what happened? Hang on, I just like deleted my monitors. Hold on a second. What is going on here? Okay, that was weird. Yeah, everybody clap for Ella. Thank you for being on the show. I like typing out my clap emojis too. Yeah, also I saw out of the corner of my eye, chat was moving much faster for this than it ever has before. So I'll have to read what chat was saying for that time. Let me write this here. Read what chat said during the interview. Yeah, so yep, here are both the links. Thank you, Ella, for doing that. What was I going to also do? Oh yeah, this. I was going to move this now to past interviews. So I will share a little bit more background of what happened, although I assume that people can put two and two together from everything. But Ella reached out to me, and oh, Kevin, thanks for gifting us up to Ella. I appreciate it. Ella had reached out to me over email and said what you pretty much heard during the interview, which is like, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Here's how it's going to help. Here's what I would need. And I said, how about you show up on the show and I interview you? And yeah, so we hadn't met each other until last week when we did like a little 10-minute prep session. I think it was great. I had a lot of fun. Vince, thank you too for resubbing. And if I missed anything else during the stream, I will try to get to it and acknowledge it at some other point, but I'm not going to scroll up right now. So that's probably it for the morning stream. How long have I been online for? Yeah, just over 3 hours. It's about noon for me right now. So I'm probably going to get lunch, but I hope you all enjoyed. And like I said, please do consider clicking at least one of these links and, following up, either, following Ella or participating in the survey. By the way, this puts us at now, I do not have any other upcoming interviews. So if anyone does have any suggestions, feel free to let me know and I could reach out. I have had one suggestion twice actually, which is the farm dev people, or what's it called? Farm RPG. I have not played this game. I haven't heard of it. And I think that'll be the first case of me reaching out to someone I don't know to ask for basically personal benefit. So I think they'd probably be like, what are you looking to do, or how can you help us? But who knows? So yeah, maybe Clayman. Yeah, I can write that down too. All right, but I'm going to go. I definitely need to take a break and get some food. I'll be back in about an hour and we'll continue with some of the Skeleseller work. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks again, Ella. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, everybody. I'll see you in an hour.